Chapter 43. Qin, I want to take a walk in town with Xiao Xiao. Can you come with us? After leaving Mo Feipeng's residence, Mo Ling asked Mo Qin for his opinion. Sure, I have something to do in town too. Mo Qin chuckled and followed the two women out of the Mo clan, heading towards northern desert town. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qin and the two girls arrived at Beima town. Qin, Xiao Xiao and I will go to the rouge shop in front to take a look. You go ahead and find us at the rouge shop when you're done. After arriving at Beima town, Mo Ling pointed at the rouge shop in front of them and smiled. Okay. Looking at the rouge shop in front of them, Mo Qin nodded and turned to leave for Zhenling workshop. After these days of refining elixirs, he did not have many spiritual herbs and medicinal herbs left. He planned to go to Zhenling workshop to see if he could find the spiritual herbs and medicinal herbs he needed. After arriving at Zhenling workshop again, Mo Qin went directly to the second floor. With his current cultivation, the ordinary medicinal herbs on the first floor were no longer of much use to him. The second floor of Zhenling workshop was smaller than the first floor, and the flow of people was much less. After arriving at the second floor, Mo Qin's eyes were filled with various spirit herbs. However, their prices gave Mo Qin a headache. The price of a first-grade spiritual herb was around 500 gold coins per stalk. A second-grade spiritual herb was around 2,000 gold coins per stalk. As for third-grade spiritual herbs, each stalk was around 8,000 to 10,000 gold coins per stalk. After seeing the prices of these spiritual herbs, Mo Qin could not help but click his tongue and sigh. These spiritual herbs are really king expensive. I'm really too poor. In the end, Mo Qin bought a total of 9 second-grade spiritual herbs, which cost him more than 19,000 gold coins. I'm back to square one. Looking at the few hundred gold coins left in his Qianquan bag, Mo Qin sighed again. After purchasing the elixirs, Mo Qin left Zhenling Plaza and headed towards the rouge shop that Mo Ling mentioned. However, after arriving at the rouge shop, Mo Qin saw that the entrance of the rouge shop was crowded with people. It seemed that they were watching a show. You two lowly servants of the Mo clan, have you thought it through? My patience is limited. At this time, an arrogant and cold voice came from the crowd. Do you think that it's fine if you don't speak? I'll give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't obediently hand it over, we'll take it ourselves. At that time, it won't be good if we accidentally damage your faces. Song Shiyun, don't go overboard. We saw this rouge first. Why should we give it to you? Following the former's words, the angry voice of a young girl came from the crowd. It's Xiao Zhao's voice. Hearing the voice behind him, Mo Qin frowned. He quickly pushed through the crowd and walked into the rouge shop. After entering the rouge shop, Mo Qin's face darkened and his eyes flashed coldly. He saw that there was a bright red handprint on Mo Xiao and Mo Ling's cheeks. Mo Xiao and Mo Ling were beaten up. Sister Mo Ling, Xiao Xiao, what's going on? Mo Qin asked angrily with a cold face. Qin, you're here. Seeing Mo Qin's arrival, the two women looked aggrieved, and the corners of their eyes turned red. Then, the two girls told him what had happened. After listening to the two girls, Mo Qin's face became even colder. The Song clan. Mo Qin's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Song Shiyun and the others. He said coldly, who was the one who beat them up? Come out. So there are reinforcements. Song Shiyun, who was in the crowd, saw Mo Qin and said disdainfully, Boy, I asked someone to beat them up. What can you do about it? Mo Qin, it's you. After hearing Song Shiyun's words, a girl beside her revealed a trace of surprise and spoke with a tone of disdain. After hearing the girl's words, Song Shiyun was also surprised. She said, Sister Lingyu, he's the trash from the Mo clan who pestered you? Yes. He Lingyu nodded and agreed with Song Shiyun's understanding. Hearing Song Shiyun's words, Mo Qin's face darkened. He looked at Song Shiryun and said, I don't want to beat up women. Since you admitted it, slap yourself 10 times and kneel down to admit your mistake. Then I won't pursue this matter with you. After saying this to Song Shiryun, Mo Qingyun looked at the young man who beat them up and said, As for you, you'll pay for your own arms. You want me to kneel down to admit my mistake and slap myself 10 times? When she heard Mo Qingyun's words, Song Shiryun immediately laughed as if she had heard the funniest joke. She said, Did I hear wrongly? How dare a trash like you threaten me? Mo Qingyun, it's only now that I realize how wise my decision to reject your pursuit was. After hearing Song Shiryun's words, He Lingyu looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain and said, I don't know if I should call you an idiot or ignorant. Do you know who she is? She is Ziheo's sister. You want to slap yourself and kowtow to admit your mistake? Can you be any more stupid? Who are you? Do I know you? Do I know you very well? When he heard He Lingyu's words, Mo Qingyun retorted with a look of disdain. He then said, Don't interrupt me just because you have 2 big steamed buns. Let me kindly remind you that the weather is cold. Wear more clothes. Don't let those 2 big steamed buns freeze. The weather is cold. Wear more clothes. Don't let those steamed buns freeze. When Mo Qingyun said this, the surrounding people were instantly dumbfounded. They were all stunned on the spot. After a brief moment of shock, the surrounding men revealed looks of admiration and gave Mo Qingyun a thumbs up. Brother, you're too good. You can even think of something like that. As for the women, their faces were flushed red as they glared at Mo Qingyun in displeasure. When she heard Mo Qingyun's words, He Lingyu was so embarrassed and angry that she was speechless. Song Jichuan, go slap this brat's mouth. When she saw the angry He Lingyu beside her, Song Shiryun immediately lost her temper and ordered a young man beside her. Yes, Sister Shiryun. The young man named Song Jichuan responded immediately and walked towards Mo Qingyun with a sneer. Brat, I'm the one who hit him. I'd like to see how you're going to cripple my arms now. Mo Qingyun, brother Song Jichuan, is at the 7th stage body tempering realm. I advise you to kowtow and admit your mistake. Ask the 2 girls of the Mo family to hand over the rouge. Then, the 3 of you can scram together. He Lingyu said to Mo Qingyun with a cold expression. Is the 7th stage body tempering realm that powerful? However, Mo Qingyun didn't seem to take her words seriously as he replied nonchalantly. Golden Cloud Wolf Claw. At that moment, when Mo Qingyun was replying to He Lingyu, Song Jichuan suddenly made a move and grabbed at Mo Qingyun. Song Jichuan's palm surged with powerful energy waves and grabbed at Mo Qingyun's chest. A sneak attack. Despicable. Seeing that Song Jichuan had taken advantage of Mo Qingyun's carelessness to launch a sneak attack on Mo Qingyun immediately said with disdain, As long as I can hit him, I don't care what method I use. Song Jichuan didn't care about the 2's words. He looked at Mo Qingyun and sneered, Brat, die. Then, everyone saw Song Jichuan's claw approaching Mo Qingyun's chest in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, some of the girls in the crowd closed their eyes, not daring to watch. However, just as everyone was worried about Mo Qingyun, they saw Song Jichuan's hand stop an inch away from Mo Qingyun's chest. Crack! Crack! Then, the crowd heard 2 crisp sounds of bones breaking. They saw Song Jichuan's arms drooping down. With one move, the 7th stage body tempering realm Song Jichuan's arms were crippled. No, impossible. How did he become so powerful? Seeing this scene, He Lingyu's expression changed. She was horrified. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that Mo Qingyun's strength would suddenly be formidable to such an extent. Chapter 44. Mo Qingyun stepped closer to Song Shiryun, no longer hiding his aura. His peak 7th stage body tempering realm aura was on full display. Peak 7th stage body tempering realm. Sensing the aura emanating from Mo Qingyun, the expressions of Song Shiryun and the others changed. They were shocked. Mo Qingyun's cultivation had reached the peak of body-tempering realm. No wonder Song Jichuan was defeated in one move. He's already grown to such a level. He Lingyu was a little dazed as she watched the domineering Mo Qingyun stride forward step by step. Was this still the trash that she had always disdained in her eyes? Mo Qingyun was already considered a genius to have such a cultivation at such a young age. At that moment, He Lingyu couldn't help but feel a tinge of regret. Perhaps she had made a mistake in breaking off the engagement. No, I didn't do anything wrong. Even if Mo Qingyun is more outstanding now, he still can't compare to Zihao. He Lingyu comforted herself with a pale face. What do you want? Song Shuyun's face was pale as she watched Mo Qingyun approach her step by step. Her voice trembled as she said nervously, Don't come any closer. Let me tell you, my brother's cultivation has reached the true energy realm. If you touch me, he won't let you off. The true energy realm? Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly when he heard Song Shuyun's words. He was surprised by this news. He did not expect Song Zihao's cultivation to reach the true energy realm in just a few months. Even so, he could not change his mind. Song Shuyun had to pay the price for her actions. Following which, Mo Qingyun took another step towards Song Shuyun. With a face full of arrogance, he said, A mere true energy stage cultivator is not enough to scare me. Since you are unwilling to do it yourself, I will have to do it myself. Song Shuyun was only at body tempering realm stage 6. She could not even resist Mo Qingyun's attack. Slap. Mo Qingyun's words were followed by a crisp slap. A palm print appeared on Song Shuyun's face. You dare to hit me? After being slapped by Mo Qingyun, Song Shuyun felt wronged. Tears flowed down her cheeks. She couldn't believe that this was real. She had never been hit in her entire life. What was even more unexpected was that Mo Qingyun actually dared to hit him in front of everyone. Those who insult others will be insulted by others. Mo Qingyun ignored Song Shuyun's reaction and said coldly, Since you can hit others, you should have thought about the possibility of being hit by others. Par then, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and slapped Song Shuyun 9 more times. In this way it was exactly 10 times. Under these 10 slaps, Song Shuyun was completely stunned. Towards the end, she almost forgot to resist. Kneel. However, Mo Qingyun didn't care about Song Shuyun's reaction at all. He raised his hand and pressed on her shoulder. Then, under Mo Qingyun's force, Song Shuyun knelt in front of Mo Xiao and Mo Ling. After seeing this scene, everyone on the spot was dumbfounded. After slapping Song Shuyun, Mo Qingyun really made Song Shuyun kneel in front of Mo Xiao and Mo Ling. Qingyun. He seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Mo Xiao and Mo Qingyun clenched their fists, excitement filling their faces. At this moment, while Mo Xiao and Mo Ling were still excited, Mo Qingyun came to them and said, Sister Ling, Xiao, let's go. Okay. After hearing this, the two girls nodded and followed Mo Qingyun out of the rouge shop. Mo Qingyun, you will regret what you did today. You hit Shuyun today. Zihao will not let you off at the town meeting next year. Watching Mo Qingyun walk away, He Lingyu said resentfully, Don't worry. At the town meeting, even if Song Zihao doesn't look for me, I will look for him. I will pay him back double what he did to me. In response to He Lingyu's words, Mo Qingyun's face was resolute and his tone was cold. When Mo Qingyun was reborn, he had made up his mind to make He Lingyu and Song Zihao pay for what they did. After saying this, Mo Qingyun ignored He Lingyu and the others and left with Mo Xiao and Mo Xiao. Because of what happened to Song Shuyun, Mo Xiao and Mo Ling were not in the mood to continue shopping. Then, Mo Qingyun and the other two returned to the Mo family. After returning to the Mo family, Mo Qingyun and the other two separated. Mo Qingyun returned to his residence alone. As soon as he returned to his residence, Mo Qingyun started cultivating. However, Mo Qingyun did not continue to improve his cultivation. Instead, he planned to familiarize himself with the martial skills. During these days, he had been immersed in improving his cultivation and had relaxed a lot about the cultivation of the martial skills. In the following time, Mo Qingyun immersed himself in the cultivation of the martial skills and practiced them over and over again. As Mo Qingyun practiced them over and over again, his understanding of the swift shadow steps and 9-stage crash deepened. Although his swift shadow steps martial skill had not reached the profound level, it had still improved by quite a bit. As for the 9-stage crash, Mo Qingyun had finally reached the consummation level after continuous practice. Now that both the swift shadow steps and 9-stage crash have reached the consummation level, I can try to cultivate another martial skill. Mo Qingyun's face was solemn as he pondered in his heart about which martial skill he should cultivate next. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun made a decision in his heart. He planned to cultivate a martial skill called Fire Dragon Seal. Fire Dragon Seal. Able to condense inner strength, true qi, and true yuan into a battle seal to unleash shocking combat strength. Furthermore, it can be used for both offense and defense. It is a martial skill that can be used for both offense and defense. The Fire Dragon Seal was the same as the 9-stage collapse. They were both early-stage Earth-grade martial skills. However, there were some differences between the two. Fire Dragon Seal was divided into 3 levels. The first level of the Body Tempering Realm, the second level of the True Origin Realm, and the third level of the True Origin Realm. The first level was to condense the Inner Strength Battle Seal by condensing the Inner Strength Battle Seal. When cultivated to the consummation level, one could condense 9 battle seals. The second level required one to be in the True Qi realm. Condensing the True Qi battle seal in one's body, one could condense 27 battle seals. As for the third level, it required one to be in the True Origin realm. Condensing the True Origin battle seal in one's body, one could condense 81 battle seals. After that, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer and started to cultivate. Since Mo Qingyun had practiced the Fire Dragon Seal before, Mo Qingyun quickly got the hang of it. It was a quiet night. After a day of cultivation, Mo Qingyun had cultivated the Fire Dragon Seal to the beginner level and condensed 5 inner strength battle seals. Mo Qingyun was very satisfied with this. With this, his strength had increased by another level. However, at this moment it was finally time for the family competition. The family competition is finally here. Chapter 45. After a while, when Mo Qingyun arrived at the martial arts practice field, the place was already filled with people. Among these people, apart from the Mo clan, there were also people from other clans in northern Desert Town. The other clans were here mainly to understand the strength of the Mo clan's juniors through the family competition. This way, the juniors of their clans would be able to know themselves and their opponents in the town competition after the new year. The elders of the Mo clan did not pay too much attention to the arrival of the other clans. Anyway, at this time, some of the elders of the Mo clan went to the other clans to watch the family competition. Everyone was returning the favor, so no one was at a disadvantage. Most importantly, the elders of the Mo clan had another idea about this phenomenon. That was, when the other clans came to watch the family competition, they could also show off a little. Perhaps it was because the Mo clan placed great importance on the family competition, but there were some changes to the judging panel. The size of the judging panel was obviously a few times larger than the monthly test. In the center of the judging panel sat an old man in his 50s. There were traces of age on his face, and his gaze was deep. He sat there with an imposing aura. This old man was the head of the Mo clan, Mo Hongtian. He was at the late stage of the True Energy Realm and was one of the top 5 experts in northern Desert Town. Could this be my cheap grandfather? Looking at the old man sitting in the middle of the judging panel, Mo Qingyun laughed at himself. I didn't expect so many big shots to come to this year's family competition. What a surprise! At this moment, as Mo Qingyun was looking at the judging panel, a sigh came from beside him. The person who spoke was a refined young man in his 20s. His cultivation was at the peak of the early stage of the body-tempering realm. Seeing Mo Qingyun looking at him, the refined young man smiled at Mo Qingyun and said, "You are Qingyun's cousin, right?" You know me?" Mo Qingyun asked with a surprised expression. "Hee, you are now the most famous person in our Mo clan. How could I not recognize you?" In response to Mo Qingyun's surprise, the young man smiled faintly and said, "My name is Mo E. I hope that in the upcoming family competition, I will have the opportunity to fight against you, cousin Qingyun. When the time comes, I hope cousin Mo Qingyun can give me some pointers." Mo Qingyun said politely. Mo E waved his hand and said with a smile, "I wouldn't dare to give you advice. We're just learning from each other." After exchanging a few pleasantries, Mo Qingyun asked curiously, "I heard you say that a lot of big shots have come to attend the family competition. What's going on? Didn't you notice the eagle-eyed elder sitting to the right of the patriarch? He is the old patriarch of the Song family, Song Su, and the one sitting to the left of the patriarch is the old patriarch of the He family, He Qianxing." Mo Yi introduced Mo Qingyun one by one. After hearing Mo Yi's introduction, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He was a little surprised. He hadn't expected that the old patriarchs of the Song and He families would be attending the family competition. However, what surprised Mo Qingyun even more was that He Lingyu and Song Shuyun were walking toward the judges' table. Perhaps because they were being watched by Mo Qingyun, the two women soon noticed Mo Qingyun in the crowd and glared at him with hatred. Seeing the change in He Lingyu and Song Shuyun's expressions, Song Su and He Qianxing also looked in Mo Qingyun's direction. "Grandpa, he is Mo Qingyun," He Lingyu and Song Shuyun said unhappily when they saw the two elders looking at Mo Qingyun. Song Su and He Qianxing couldn't help but frown when they heard the two women's words. They seemed to be deep in thought. A moment later, He Qianxing broke the silence and said with a smile, "Brother Hongtian, is that your grandson Mo Qingyun? He is indeed a man of striking appearance." "Brother Qianxing, you flatter me." Mo Qingyun replied with a faint smile, and also looked at Mo Qingyun. Upon closer inspection, one could see a trace of relief in Mo Hongtian's eyes. It seemed that he had heard a little about Mo Qingyun's recent performance. "Grandpa, you don't know how powerful Mo Qingyun is. He relied on his high cultivation to hit Shuyun." Song Shuyun, who was next to Song Su, pretended to be aggrieved. "Is that so?" Song Su and the others' expressions changed. A trace of pride flashed across Song Shuyun's eyes when she saw the elder's reaction. Then, she recounted what had happened. Song Su's expression turned ugly when he heard Song Shuyun's words. He reprimanded Song Shuyun and said, "Shuyun, don't speak nonsense. If you were not unruly and willful, why would Qingyun hit you?" Song Shuyun's face became somewhat displeased when she heard Song Su's words. However, before Song Shuyun could say anything, Song Su looked at Mo Hongtian with displeasure and said, "Brother Hongtian, your grandson is very powerful. He actually attacked and injured someone because of a disagreement." "Brother Song Su, don't be angry. My grandson is naughty and mischievous. I will definitely punish him after this." Mo Hongtian's expression turned solemn as he replied to Song Su. "Haha, brother Song Su, brother Hongtian, let the younger generation deal with their own matters. Let's just relax and watch the competition." He Qianxing tried to smooth things over when he saw that the atmosphere was a little awkward. Then, Mo Hongtian and the other two looked toward the arena and didn't say anything else. Inside the arena, seeing that all the younger generation had arrived, an elder of the Mo family walked out and said, "I will now announce the rules of the competition. The first round was divided into 10 arenas. 50 people would fight in each arena and the remaining 5 would advance to the next round. In the second round, they would draw lots to match their opponent. The winners would advance to the next round while the losers would fight for the rankings. I will now call out the names. Those whose names have been called out will enter arena number 1. In the middle of the arena, the elder spoke again. Then, he began to call out the names. Soon, all the younger generation participating in the competition had been called out and were evenly distributed to the 10 arenas. Perhaps it was because of special arrangements, but among the younger generation, those who were at least body tempering stage 9 and above were all allocated to different arenas. This arrangement was probably because they were worried that there would be conflicts between them. If they fought in the first round, they would be eliminated from the competition. After a simple scan of the surroundings, Mo Chinyan realized that Mo Tsang was allocated to arena number 1 while Mo Xin, who had a higher cultivation, was allocated to arena number 2. Mo Tsang, arena number 1, are they trying to create momentum for him? After seeing Mo Tsang's arena, Mo Chinyan's lips curled into a playful smile. Then, Mo Chinyan observed for a while and realized that Mo E, who had been chatting with him just now, was allocated to arena number 7. Apart from that, Mo Chinyan also realized that there were about 30 people in each arena. Out of the 30 people, 5 would advance to the next round. In other words, 1 out of 6 or 7 people would advance to the next round. Such an elimination rate was quite high. It wouldn't be easy to advance to the next round. There doesn't seem to be anyone at body tempering stage 9 in my group. After briefly sizing up the opponents in front of him, Mo Chinyan discovered that his group seemed to be the weakest of the 10 group. Mo Chinyan was very happy to see this. Chapter 46. As soon as the battle started, the juniors in the arena were divided into a few groups. 4 juniors with a cultivation of body tempering realm stage 8 each formed a group. The rest of the juniors with a cultivation of body tempering realm stage 7 each formed a group of 3 or 2. The rest of the juniors with a cultivation of body tempering realm stage 7 and below formed a group. Mo Chinyan was not surprised by this. After all, if everyone grouped together, the chances of being eliminated would be lower. Otherwise, those with a lower cultivation base would have no chance of winning against those with a higher cultivation base. Not long after, 9 camps were formed in the arena. As soon as the 9 groups were formed, they were on guard against each other. No one dared to make the first move. However, they soon realized that Mo Chinyan's group was the weakest in the arena. Although Mo Chinyan's cultivation base was at the peak of body tempering realm stage 7, he was alone. Therefore, he gave off the impression that he was the weakest. After realizing that Mo Chinyan's group was the weakest, they were all eager to make the first move. They all set their sights on Mo Chinyan as their first target. After all, Mo Chinyan was alone, and his cultivation base was not the highest, so it would be easier to deal with him. Even so, no one dared to make the first move. There was nothing they could do about it. Although Mo Chinyan's side wasn't the strongest, eliminating him would still cost them quite a bit. This was not what the crowd wanted to see. Therefore, they were all waiting for someone to lose their patience first. After a few minutes, someone finally lost his patience. It was a cultivator with a cultivation base of body tempering realm stage 8. After glancing at the crowd, the man said to those with a cultivation base of the 7th layer body tempering realm and below in a prideful manner, "I'll give you guys 10 breaths time to fight each other to decide who will advance to the next round. If you guys don't do it, the 4 of us will have to do it ourselves." As he spoke, he glanced at the other 3 cultivators with a cultivation base of body tempering realm stage 8 and signaled to each other. The other 3 agreed with this person's actions. After seeing this, they all responded. Seeing that the 4 cultivators with a cultivation base of body tempering realm stage 8 had reached a consensus, the rest of the crowd tensed up and did not know what to do. If they fought each other, only one of them would be able to advance. However, if they did not fight each other, they would not stand a chance against the 4 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivators. As this thought appeared in everyone's mind, the atmosphere in the hall suddenly became heavy. However, in the end, no one made a move. Just like that, 10 breaths of time passed. Seeing that no one had made a move even after 10 breaths had passed, the 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivator from before sneered, "Since none of you are willing to make a move, I guess I'll have to do it myself." Soon after, the crowd saw the 4 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivators standing up one after another, preparing to fight. It seemed like the 4 of them were about to make a move. The other groups all gathered together and finally formed a single group. Perhaps in their opinion, this was the only way they would stand a chance against 4 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivators. When the other factions joined forces, Mo Qingyun did not participate. He was still alone. In this way, Mo Qingyun's group seemed to be weaker than before. After seeing this, the 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivator who spoke previously said coldly to Mo Qingyun, "Kid, let's start with you. If you leave the arena now, I won't make things difficult for you." "You want me to leave the arena?" After hearing his words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he looked at him with a playful expression. It seemed like this guy in front of him was treating him as a soft persimmon, and wanted to start with him first. "What? Do you have any objections? Do you want me to do it myself?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun was doubting his words, the man was immediately displeased. He stretched his arms and walked toward Mo Qingyun. "You can try it yourself," Mo Qingyun replied with a nonchalant expression in response to this person's threat. "Mo Chuan, this kid doesn't seem to care about your words." After seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, another 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivator smiled and said to Mo Chuan. After hearing his words, Mo Chuan's expression immediately turned ugly. He said to Mo Qingyun, "Kid, let me remind you. You better know your place and don't force me to do it. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that you won't be able to walk out of here alive. Let me remind you too. Get lost immediately. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that you won't be able to walk out of here alive." Mo Qingyun's expression darkened as he said coldly, F***K, this kid is too arrogant. How dare he talk to Mo Chuan like that? Haha, Mo Chuan, it seems like this kid doesn't care about you at all. Not only does he not care about you, he doesn't even care about you. Mo Chuan, if you still don't do it, you can just be a coward. After seeing this, the other 8th-layer body-tempering realm cultivators immediately mocked Mo Chuan. Under their mocking words, Mo Chuan's expression turned extremely ugly. With a twisted expression, he said, "Kid, you forced me to do this." Flying Star's sticky hand after Mo Chuan finished speaking, he reached out his hand towards Mo Qingyun, directly grabbing at Mo Qingyun's throat. Looking at Mo Chuan's action, it seemed like he was planning to directly grab Mo Qingyun and throw him out of the arena. When the people around saw this scene, they all revealed gloating expressions. If Mo Qingyun was thrown out of the arena, they would have one less competitor. After all, Mo Qingyun was at the peak of body-tempering realm stage 7. In a one-on-one fight, he was still very strong. If Mo Chuan did not make a move, it would be quite troublesome for the people present to deal with him. Now that Mo Qingyun was eliminated by Mo Chuan, it was naturally the best outcome. However, at this moment, while the crowd was waiting for Mo Qingyun to be thrown out of the arena by Mo Chuan, bang! A muffled sound was heard. Following which, the crowd saw Mo Chuan's body fly out and fall outside the arena. Mo Chuan was sent flying. Seeing this scene, the crowd in the arena was instantly dumbfounded. This result was too different from what they had imagined. It was almost the complete opposite of what they had expected. They really did not expect Mo Qingyun to be so powerful. Mo Chuan, who was at body-tempering realm stage 8, was sent out of the arena by Mo Qingyun in just one move. Seeing that he was thrown out of the arena by Mo Qingyun in one move, Mo Chuan felt as if he had eaten a fly. It was extremely disgusting. He did not expect that in the end, he, who was at Body Tempering Realm Stage 8, would be the first person to be eliminated. You're too strong. I didn't want to eliminate you. Mo Qingyun chuckled as he looked at Mo Chuan, who had been eliminated by his attack. Mo Chuan was already very depressed when he was eliminated. Now that he heard Mo Qingyun's words, he felt even more depressed. What did he mean by too strong? I didn't want to eliminate him. From Mo Chuan's point of view, Mo Qingyun did it on purpose. If not, how could it be so coincidental that he was sent to the edge of the arena, causing him to be eliminated? Mo Qingyun did not care about Mo Chuan's resentful gaze. He turned his gaze back to the arena and said to the crowd with a smile, "Is there anyone else who wants me to leave the arena?" After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the crowd unconsciously took a few steps back and looked at Mo Qingyun with respect. Are you kidding me? You sent Mo Chuan, who was at Body Tempering Realm Stage 8, flying with one punch. Aren't they seeking death by challenging Mo Qingyun? Seeing that the crowd was unwilling to step forward, Mo Qingyun sat down leisurely. He looked at the crowd in front of him and said with a smile, "I'll give you 5 minutes to decide who will advance to the next round. Otherwise, I'll have to throw all of you out." SSS. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the crowd was filled with respect. They sucked in a breath of cold air and secretly cursed, "This guy is too cruel. He actually wants to eliminate everyone." However, even though they were unhappy, they did not dare to refute Mo Qingyun's words. Soon after, the crowd in the arena no longer hesitated and immediately attacked. However, when they attacked, their hearts were filled with bitterness. Is this karma? Chapter 47. He is already so powerful. Looking at Mo Qingyun in the arena, He Lingyu's face turned pale and she was in a daze. Mo Qingyun's rapid rise had already broken through the bottom line of what she could bear. Humph! Brat, don't be so smug. No matter how powerful you are no match for my brother. Song Xiuyun gritted her teeth as she thought to herself with a venomous look on her face. Brother Hongtian, I am so envious of you. You have a good grandson. He Qianxing smiled at Mo Hongtian with an envious expression. Haha, this brat likes to show off when he has some ability. Brother Qianxing, please don't laugh at me. Hearing He Qianxing's words, Mo Hongtian immediately laughed heartily. It seemed like he was very satisfied with Mo Qingyun's performance. Similarly, he enjoyed He Qianxing's words very much. While Mo Hongtian was happy, there was also a tinge of regret in his eyes. He sighed to himself, if only Qingyun did not have a grade 1 martial soul. A grade 1 martial soul aptitude is destined. No matter how talented he is, his future achievements will be limited. At that moment, while He Qianxing and Mo Hongtian were talking, Song Su's face darkened. No one knew what he was thinking. Father! Grandmaster Song, Grandmaster He Elders! At that moment Mo Feiping, Mo Yuru, and Mo Ling came to the judges' stand and greeted Mo Hongtian and the rest. You are all here. Take a seat. Mo Hongtian pointed to the seat beside him. After greeting them, he asked, Did Feilin go to Lianyun City? Yes. Mo Feiping nodded and said, Greenwood Firm's business has been good recently and they have taken in many new customers. Feilin went to take a look and will be back before the New Year's Eve. Great. Hearing Mo Feiping's words, Mo Hongtian nodded in relief. Why didn't anyone make a move against him in Qingyun's arena? Mo Yueru was puzzled when she saw the situation in Mo Qingyun's arena. That's right. Everyone else is fighting with anger. Why is Qingyun acting like an outsider? Everyone is ignoring him. Mo Ling was also confused. He couldn't figure out what was going on with Mo Qingyun. When Mo Hongtian heard Mo Yueru and the rest's words, He smiled helplessly and shook his head. Those little fellows did not attack Qin Yun because that little fellow, Mo Chuan, challenged Qin Yun and was blasted out of the arena by Qin Yun in a single move. They were shocked by this result. What? Mo Chuan was blasted out of the arena by Qin Yun in one move. Mo Chuan's cultivation seems to have reached the 8th layer body tempering realm. Even Mo Chuan with his 8th layer body tempering realm cultivation couldn't withstand a single blow from Qin Yun. How is this possible? After hearing Mo Hong Tian's words, Mo Yueru and the other two were shocked. Could it be that Qin Yun's cultivation has reached the 8th layer body tempering realm? Mo Yueru exclaimed. After hearing Mo Yueru's words, Mo Feiping and the rest fell silent and smiled bitterly. This brat Mo Qingyun's cultivation speed was really too fast. While they were not paying attention, his cultivation had already broken through. At this moment Mo Yueru and the rest were confused. Did Mo Qingyun really have a first-grade martial spirit? At this moment, while Mo Yueru and the rest were shocked by the scene in front of them, the battle on Mo Qingyun's side finally came to an end. Including Mo Qingyun, there were only 5 people left. The other 4 people were the 3 8th layer body tempering realm cultivators and the last late-stage 7th layer body tempering realm cultivator. Looking at the 4 people in front of him, Mo Qingyun chuckled and said, "Thank you for your hard work." "It's our pleasure." In response to Mo Qingyun's words, the few of them quickly responded. However, their expressions were even uglier than when they were crying. Of course, it was hard work. Even if their cultivation was slightly higher, they still almost collapsed from exhaustion when the 4 of them fought against 20 to 30 people. After Mo Qingyun's battle ended, the other 9 arenas also came to an end to determine the 5 people who would advance to the next round. After an hour of rest, we will begin the second round of battles. Seeing that all the battles had ended, an elder instructed the crowd. Immediately after, the juniors who had advanced to the second round began to rest. However, Mo Qingyun did not rest. This was because he had not expended any energy since the beginning. Seeing Mo Qingyun's leisurely appearance, the other 4 people were depressed. They were so envious that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They had all advanced to the next round in the same arena. Why was the difference so huge? After an hour. The break is over. We will now draw lots to determine your opponents. Seeing that the break was over, an elder walked out and shouted at the 50 juniors who had advanced to the next round. After that, Mo Qingyun and the rest walked forward and began to draw lot. Mo Qingyun, you better not get eliminated too quickly. During the drawing of lots, Mo Tsang's face was gloomy as he spoke to Mo Qingyun coldly. Don't worry. Even if you get eliminated, I won't get eliminated either. Mo Qingyun replied to Mo Tsang's words indifferently. That's for the best. Mo Tsang snorted and walked away. Brat, you're so lucky to have met the weakest group. You advanced even more leisurely and easily than me. Mo Xian patted Mo Qingyun's shoulder and smiled at Mo Qingyun. Hee, not bad. I didn't meet anyone with a cultivation base of body tempering stage 9. Mo Qingyun chuckled. Cousin Qingyun, congratulations on advancing. At this moment, Mo Yi walked over and congratulated Mo Qingyun. He then said to Mo Xian, congratulations cousin Mo Qingyun for advancing to the half-step true Qi realm. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and replied, same to cousin Moe. Thank you, cousin Moe. Mo Xian smiled sweetly and said in surprise, cousin Moe, I thought you didn't like to fight? Why are you interested in this year's competition? My old man ordered me to get closer to everyone. He said that I've been reading too much, and my brain has become pedantic. Moe said helplessly. So it's the second elder's idea. After hearing Mo Yi's words, Mo Xian revealed a look of understanding and looked at Mo Yi sympathetically. Compared to Mo Xian's thoughts, Mo Qingyun was more curious about Mo Yi. This cousin of his was interesting. He didn't like fighting, but he liked reading. No wonder Moe had a scholarly aura. He was a literati. "Oh right, Cousin Qin-yun, what's your number?" After Mo Qin-yun and the other two exchanged a few more words, Mo asked curiously. "Number 10. Seeing this, Mo Qin-yun looked at the number on the sign. Then, Mo Qin-yun saw that there was already a young man standing in the number 10 arena. Mo Sun. After seeing the young man, Mo and Mo Xian's expressions changed. Following which, Mo Yi's face was solemn as he reminded Mo Qin-yun, "Cousin Qin-yun, you must be careful when you fight with Mo Sun later. This fellow's attacks are extremely ruthless. He's a living example of a desperate man." That's right. Although Mo Sun is only at the peak of body tempering stage 8, because of his ruthlessness, many people at body tempering stage 9 are afraid of him. They're all afraid of him. Mo Xian also had a serious face. She reminded Mo Qin-yun, "Brat, if you can't beat him later, don't force yourself. It's okay if you lose, but you can't get hurt because of it. Do you understand?" "Got it." Mo Qin-yun nodded and smiled indifferently. Seeing Mo Qin-yun's expression, Mo shook his head helplessly. He felt that Mo Qin-yun didn't listen to them at all. However, with his personality, he didn't want to say anything. He only looked at Mo Qin-yun with concern. Mo Qin-yun was well aware of the meaning behind Mo Yi's expression, but he didn't say anything either. After all, everything would be clear after he fought with Mo Sun. Chapter 48. It's Mo Sun. Mo Feipeng was shocked when he saw Mo Qin-yun's opponent. He frowned and started to worry. Mo Sun? Is he the child who grew up in the wolf pack? Mo Yueru was shocked and worried as she asked Mo Feipeng. That's right. It's that child. Mo Feipeng gritted his teeth and clenched his fists as he stared at Arena 10. Uncle, Mother, don't worry. We should believe in Qin-yun. Mo Ling comforted Mo Feipeng and Mo Yueru. Think about it. We doubted Qin-yun's strength before, but he surprised us every time. Although that's true, it's different this time. Mo Feipeng and Mo Yueru relaxed a little when they heard Mo Ling's words, but they were still worried. After all, Mo Sun was not like Mo Hai. His experience was not something an ordinary person could compare to. Living in a wolf pack, not only did he have to fight with other beasts, but he also had to fight with humans. Even when he was in a wolf pack, he had to go through many battles to survive. It was obvious that Mo Sun's experience was not something an ordinary person could imagine. He actually met Mo Sun. Even if this kid loses this battle, he won't have any regret. Mo Hongtian sighed inwardly. He seemed to be certain that it was impossible for Mo Qin-yun to win this battle. He actually met a wolf child. After seeing Mo Qin-yun's opponent, Mo Tsang's expression changed. He took pleasure in Mo Qin-yun's misfortune and sneered. Mo Qin-yun, your luck is really bad. Looks like I don't have to take care of you. In the number 10 arena. You're not my match. Admit defeat. Mo Sun's expression turned cold when he saw Mo Qin-yun walk into the arena. His voice was hoarse as he spoke. Mo Qin-yun sized Mo Sun up and smiled nonchalantly. We haven't even started yet, and you're already so sure that I'm not your match. You seem to be overconfident. Since that's the case, let's do it. Mo Sun's eyes flashed coldly. Like a hungry wolf, he stared at Mo Qin-yun and said, Once I attack, I won't hold back. It's not too late to regret it now. Thank you for your kind intentions. Go all out. Upon hearing Mo Qin-yun's words, Mo Qin-yun had a good impression of him. Blood wolf martial spirit, appear. Mo Sun shouted and summoned his martial soul. It seemed that he was going all out. Shortly after, a dense bloody aura emanated from Mo Sun's martial soul. Mo Sun's blood wolf martial soul was one of the top grade 8 martial souls. Furthermore, with the support of the Blood Wolf martial soul's soul power, the bloodthirsty side of his heart would be stimulated, and he would be able to display even greater fighting strength. Because of this, the combat strength of the Blood Wolf martial soul was not inferior to an ordinary level 9 martial soul. "Summon your martial soul," Emo Sun said coldly. "No need." Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "Let's do it." Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Emo Sun's face turned even colder. There was a hint of anger in his eyes. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun was looking down on him by not summoning his martial soul. Of course, he thought this way because he did not know that everyone knew that Emo Qingyun only had a level 1 illumination martial soul. If it was a level 1 illumination martial soul, it would not make a difference whether he summoned it or not. Blood Wolf rends the sun. Emo Sun howled at the sky. His eyes immediately turned blood-red. He leaped up and pounced at Emo Qingyun. Immediately, Emo Sun's hands formed a bloody shadow and tore at Emo Qingyun's chest. At the moment, Emo Sun's attack felt as though the sun would be torn to shreds in the face of his attack. Emo Sun is so strong. His martial skill, Blood Wolf rips the sun, must have reached the perfection stage. In my opinion, Emo Qingyun will not be able to take Emo Sun's attack. Seeing Emo Sun's attack, the surrounding juniors were shocked and in awe. A perfection stage martial skill. Brother Hong Tian, this kid is not bad. After seeing Emo Sun's attack, Song Su smiled faintly and praised him. However, no one knew if he was praising Emo Sun's martial skill or if he was praising Emo Sun for severely injuring Emo Qingyun. Haha, this kid's temperament is not bad. He can be nurtured. He Qianxing laughed. Emo Sun's talent and perseverance are indeed better than his peers. However, his personality needs to be changed. After the two of them spoke, Emo Hong Tian replied with a serious expression. He thought to himself, "It looks like Qin Yun will not be able to win this match." Emo Sun's strength already qualifies him to fight for the top 10 in the competition. After seeing Emo Sun's attack, Emo Hong Tian's last hope of Emo Qingyun winning was completely destroyed. A perfection stage martial skill. He's indeed strong. With Emo Qingyun's eyesight, he could naturally tell that Emo Sun's martial skill was proficient. After a short moment of shock, Emo Qingyun said, "Although your martial skill is quite advanced, your martial skills grade is too low." With Emo Qingyun's eyesight, he was certain that Emo Sun's martial skill, Blood Wolf rips the sun, was not higher than a low-tier profound stage martial skill. A low-tier profound stage martial skill against his low-tier earth stage martial skill, 9-stage crash, would be at a disadvantage. Before the 7th stage body tempering realm, the grade of a martial skill did not have much of a difference. However, after reaching the 7th stage body tempering realm, one's body would be able to condense inner strength. The stronger the martial skill, the more powerful it would be. 9-stage crash. Looking at the approaching blood claw, Emo Qingyun's expression turned serious. He raised his hand and threw out a punch. The force behind the punch was unbridled. The aura of a 7th stage body tempering realm cultivator was at its peak. Boom! When the fist and claw collided, there was a violent explosion. The bloody light dissipated and a dull thud was heard. Emo Sun took it. Seeing that Emo Sun's attack had been countered, everyone's expression changed. They were surprised by the outcome. Emo Qingyun's performance had once again surprised everyone. This brat has brought us another surprise. Seeing that Emo Qingyun had countered Emo Sun's attack, Emo Feipeng immediately laughed. His mood instantly turned for the better. Qin Yun's martial skill isn't simple. He's only at the pinnacle of the 7th stage body tempering realm, yet he's able to receive a full force attack from someone at the pinnacle of the 8th stage body tempering realm. Emo Yueru's eyes moved as she revealed a joyful smile. She looked at Emo Qingyun with anticipation. It seems that I've underestimated this brat. I never expected that he would have cultivated a low-tier martial skill. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Mo Hongtian's expression changed. He gripped the edge of his chair tightly and said excitedly, "If he's more familiar with his martial skill, he might be able to fight with Mo soon. Mo Hongtian's grandson is not simple." He Qianxing and Song Su looked at each other. They could read each other's thoughts, and their expressions became complicated. As the three great families of the northern desert town, the competition between them was intense. Naturally, they did not wish for the younger generation of the other families to be too outstanding. "You've actually countered my attack. However, it won't be that easy from now on." Seeing that Mo Qingyun had countered his full-force attack, Mo Sun was momentarily stunned. His tone was cold. "Is that so?" Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a playful smile as he said, "But before that, you should try to take one of my attacks too. Break." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished his words, his expression turned serious. He shouted loudly and raised his hand to attack Mo Sun. Following which, a violent inner force emerged from Mo Qingyun's palm. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately after, the waves of inner strength emitted a sound similar to that of a mountain collapsing. With a berserk aura, they rumbled towards Mo Sun. At that moment, the power of the 9-stage crash martial technique was finally displayed. What martial technique is that? It's so powerful! Feeling the violent inner strength wave, Mo Sun's expression immediately changed as he let out a shocked cry. However, Mo Sun did not hesitate. He immediately raised his hand to block the attack. However, he had underestimated the power of an earthly martial technique. Just as he came into contact with the inner force, he felt as if a terrifying force was crashing into his body with the force of an avalanche. Poof! Being hit by the force, Mo Sun was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he looked at Mo Qingyun in disbelief. He had not expected Mo Qingyun to have mastered such a powerful martial technique. Moreover, Mo Qingyun's proficiency in the martial technique was shocking. He had mastered it to perfection. The more powerful a martial technique was, the more difficult it was to master it. "I've lost." After a short moment of silence, Mo Sun reluctantly admitted defeat. Then, he asked, "What's the grade of your martial technique? What level have you reached with this martial technique?" "Earthly beginner stage." "You can say that it's at perfection," Mo Qingyun said calmly. "I have no complaints about losing to an earthly martial technique at perfection." After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Sun's mood improved. He said, "Wait until I master a powerful martial technique, then I'll challenge you again." "You're welcome anytime," Mo Qingyun said with a chuckle. Mo Qingyun knew what Mo Sun was thinking. Perhaps in Mo Sun's opinion, he had won because he had an advantage in martial technique. However, Mo Qingyun did not explain Mo Sun's misunderstanding. Chapter 49. I seem to have misjudged him again. Mo Hongtian smiled bitterly and sighed when he saw that Mo Qingyun's proficiency in the 9-stage crash had reached the perfection stage. He had misjudged Mo Qingyun time and time again. Before this, he had never thought of such an outcome. He won. Mo Feipeng was pleasantly surprised. Mo Qingyun's performance had taken him by surprise. "That's right." Mo Ling smiled and said, "He surprised us again. This kid is just like third brother. He likes to hide his strength," Mo Yueru said with a gentle smile. While Mo Feipeng and the rest were celebrating, He Qianxing and Song Su had complicated expressions on their faces and remained silent. Song Shiyun, who was beside them, was gritting her teeth in anger. Her face was filled with resentment. H's strength is comparable to a body-tempering stage 9 cultivator. Compared to Song Shiyun's resentment, He Lingyu was more at a loss. Trash. Mo Sun is trash. He can't even take care of Mo Qingyun. In the first arena, Mo Tsang saw that Mo Qingyun had won and gritted his teeth. But this is good too. I can take care of him myself, In the arena. After Mo Qingyun's battle ended, the other arenas also ended their battles. Then, it was the remaining people's turn to fight. After about 15 minutes, all the battles ended. 25 people advanced to the next round and 25 were eliminated. Let's rest for an hour before the third round begins. Seeing that all the battles had ended, an elder walked out. Zhang Xian instructed. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun also sat down cross-legged and began to rest and recover. Although he had not exhausted much of his energy during the battle with Mo Sun, he did not mind being in peak condition at all times. An hour later, an elder walked down from the judge's stand and said to Mo Qingyun and the rest, "The third round will be the same as the first round. You will be divided into 5 groups and each group will have 5 people. The last 2 people from each group will advance to the top 10. The elder continued, "Now, those who hear my name head to Arena 1. After that, Mo Qingyun and the others entered their respective fighting grounds one after another under the guidance of this elder. Mo Tsang was still in the first arena. From the looks of it, the elder's intentions were self-evident. Mo Xin was assigned to venue number 2, but to Mo Qingyun's surprise, he and Mo Yi were assigned to venue number 5. In arena number 5, other than Mo Qingyun and Mo Yi, the other 3 were all at body tempering stage 8. Seeing this, Mo Yi smiled faintly and said, "Cousin Qingyun, why don't the 2 of us join forces and eliminate the 3 of them?" Mo Qingyun was a little surprised by Mo Yi's actions. He immediately smiled and said, "Sure." When the other 3 saw that Mo Qingyun wanted to join forces with Mo Yi to eliminate the 3 of them, their expressions immediately tensed up. Although they had more people, Mo Qingyun and Mo Yi's strength was obvious to everyone. Thinking of this, the 3 of them didn't dare to hold back and immediately summoned their martial souls. "Cousin Mo Yi, I'll deal with one of them. I'll leave the other 2 to you." Mo Qingyun took the lead and attacked one of them. He smiled slyly at Mo Yi. "You bastard!" Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Mo Yi smiled helplessly. However, he didn't object to Mo Qingyun's suggestion. Immediately, Mo Yi attacked the other 2 people. The aura of a body tempering stage 9 was instantly released. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that Mo Yi's martial skill was extremely rare. It was a martial skill related to calligraphy, incantation of the literary ink. In an instant, all kinds of strokes appeared in front of everyone's eyes. As soon as these strokes appeared, they were like streaks of sword light that attacked the 2 body tempering stage 8 people. Faced with such a strong and tricky attack, the 2 people's expressions immediately changed and their battle strength dissipated. Soon, the 2 body tempering stage 8 people were completely suppressed by Mo Yi's attack. Then, they reluctantly admitted defeat. Seeing that the 2 of them had admitted defeat, Mo Yi looked towards Mo Qingyun and said with a smile, "Cousin Qingyun, I've finished them. You have to hurry." "Cousin Mo Yi, you're amazing. You've finished them so quickly." Seeing that Mo Yi's battle had ended, Mo Qingyun gave him a thumbs up and said with a smile, "It seems like I have to speed up too." Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the person who was fighting Mo Qingyun was instantly displeased and said angrily, "Mo Qingyun, don't look down on others. How dare you be distracted while fighting me?" "So what?" Mo Qingyun said with a playful smile. "I admit that Mo Yi is strong, but I can't accept that you can defeat me." The person said with dissatisfaction. "Is that so?" Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "It seems like you're going to be disappointed. You're going to lose this battle." Swift shadow step. As soon as the words left his mouth, Mo Qingyun's body moved, leaving behind an afterimage as he attacked the person. So fast. Seeing Mo Qingyun's speed, the person's face changed color and became filled with fear. Mo Qingyun's speed was too fast. He was so fast that he couldn't tell where Mo Qingyun was. 9 heavy crash. Soon after, before he could even react, he saw a palm imbued with wanton force approaching his chest. Bang! A muffled sound rang out. Following that, the person was sent flying by Mo Qingyun's palm strike and fell outside the arena. After defeating his opponent in one move, Mo Qingyun looked at him with a smile and asked, "How was it?" Seeing that he had been defeated by Mo Qingyun in the blink of an eye, the person was in a daze and said dispiritedly, "I lost." The opponent's surrender announced the end of Mo Qingyun's battle in the arena. He and Mo successfully advanced to the top 10. "Brat, you could have defeated him quickly. Why did you waste so much time there?" Mo walked towards Mo Qingyun and said to Mo Qingyun in a bad mood. He could see that if Mo Qingyun had used all his strength, his opponent would have been defeated in 3 moves at most. But the result was that Mo Qingyun had exchanged more than 10 moves with his opponent before he defeated him under Mo Yi's urging. When he thought of this, Mo Yi became a little depressed. He smiled bitterly and said, "Brat, did you do this because you didn't want to help me deal with those 2 people? Is that why you wasted time and refused to defeat your opponent?" "How could that be? I was just thinking about giving him some face, so I exchanged a few more moves with him," Mo Qingyun hurriedly explained. Then he winked at Mo Yi and said, "Besides, cousin Mo Yi, your strong and capable people do more work. You can handle one more person, right?" When he said the last sentence, Mo Qingyun felt a little guilty. He thought to himself, "If I lie like this, will I be struck by lightning? I think you'd better say the last sentence. That's what you really mean." Hearing Mo Qingyun's twisted logic, Mo Yi felt helpless. After a while, the battles of the other 4 groups also ended. Rest for an hour. We'll continue with the top 5. Seeing that the battles had ended, an elder walked out and instructed Mo Qingyun and the others. Then, Mo Qingyun and the others began to rest and recover. Those who could enter the top 10 were not good people. No one dared to be careless when fighting against them. Therefore, in the following battles, it was necessary to maintain peak condition. After an hour, the rest period ended. An elder walked out and said to Mo Qingyun and the others, "Now, the remaining 2 in each arena will fight. The winner will enter the top 5, and the loser will fight for the 6th to 10th place. The remaining 2 in each arena will fight." Mo Qingyun and the others were surprised by the elder's arrangement. They were very surprised by this result. Then, Mo Qingyun looked towards Mo Yi, a fighting spirit surging in his eyes. This meant that his next opponent was Mo Yi. "Cousin Qingyun, go easy on me later." Mo Yi chuckled. "Cousin Mo Yi, you're joking. I hope you'll teach me later." Mo Qingyun smiled bitterly at Mo Yi's words. After hearing each other's words, the 2 of them were speechless. They fell silent with strange expressions on their faces. "Then let's go all out." Chapter 50. Door of the Seal, open. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished his words, his aura instantly grew stronger. In the blink of an eye, the aura emitted from Mo Qingyun's body was equivalent to the peak of the midstage of the 8th layer body tempering realm. After witnessing Mo Yi's strength, Mo Qingyun knew that it was impossible for him to defeat Mo Yi with his cultivation of the peak 7th layer body tempering realm. Therefore, he decided to reveal his trump card. The crowd was stunned when they realized that Mo Qingyun's cultivation had increased to the peak of the midstage of the 8th layer body tempering realm. Peak of the midstage of the 8th layer body tempering realm. Is this Mo Qingyun's real cultivation? It turned out that from the beginning until now, Mo Qingyun had not used his full strength. He had been holding back. After realizing this, the crowd's gaze toward Mo Qingyun changed. Their gazes were filled with excitement and anticipation. They were eager to see how Mo Qingyun would perform. "This guy did not use his full strength when he fought me." Mo Sun wore a bitter smile when he saw Mo Qingyun's cultivation of the 8th layer body tempering realm. He was greatly affected. It seemed like he was underestimated by Mo Qingyun. Not only did Mo Qingyun not summon his martial spirit, he even suppressed his cultivation during the battle. This was too shocking. Peak of the mid-stage of the 8th layer body tempering realm. Mo Faping's expression changed as he wore a surprised smile. This brat still has such a trump card up his sleeve. No wonder he was not nervous when he fought with Mo soon. He still has such a trump card up his sleeve. Similar to Mo Faping, Mo Yueru, Mo Ling, and Mo Shao were also excited. This brat is really patient. He waited until now to reveal his trump card. As he gazed at Mo Qingyun in the arena, Mo Hongtian smiled in appreciation and said, "Looks like Mo Yi has given him quite a bit of pressure. So much so that he has revealed his trump card even before the fight has begun." At this moment, He Qianxing and the others had complicated expressions on their faces. From the looks of it, they were shocked by Mo Qingyun's performance. In the 5th arena, Peak Body Tempering Stage 8. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had a cultivation of Body Tempering Stage 8, Mo Yi, like the others, had a shocked expression on his face. He hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun had been concealing his cultivation base earlier. After realizing this, Mo Yi felt somewhat depressed. He smiled bitterly and said, "Cousin Qingyun, you're too unkind. Is this what you mean by capable people do more work? Hee, I'm just giving you a chance to perform, Cousin Mo Yi. 1 against 2, winning against many. Isn't that awesome?" Mo Qingyun blinked and smiled at Mo Yi. However, Mo Yi did not buy his words at all. He said angrily, "If I lose to you now, wouldn't you be even more awesome?" That seems to be the case." Hearing Mo Yi's words, Mo Qingyun was slightly taken aback. He then nodded in response. Mo Yi's words seemed to make sense. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, even Mo Yi, who had a good temper, had the urge to slap him. Mo Qingyun, this brat, was too arrogant and condescending. Mo Qingyun's expression was clearly hinting that he was no match for Mo Qingyun. "Sigh. I've actually been tricked by you." Mo Yi shook his head and sighed. Then, his expression turned serious. "However, if you want to use me as a stepping stone to show off, I won't let you succeed so easily." Soul-bestowing pen, appear. After Mo Yi finished speaking, he immediately summoned his martial soul. It seemed that he did not dare to be careless when facing Mo Qingyun. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that Mo Yi's martial soul was actually a pen. A Class 9 martial soul, soul-bestowing pen. It was an extremely rare martial soul. However, this martial soul was in line with Mo Yi's personality. After summoning his martial soul, Mo Yi looked at Mo Qingyun with a serious expression and said, "Cousin Qingyun, I'm going to use my signature martial skill, 8 Beast Transformation. If you can take 8 of my moves, I'll admit defeat." "Alright, bring it on." After hearing Mo Yi's words, Mo Qingyun's fighting spirit immediately surged. He was looking forward to Mo Yi's martial skill. Tiger Transformation. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Yi did not hesitate. He controlled his martial soul and began to draw in the air. Very quickly, a tiger character formed from soul power appeared in the air. After the tiger character was completed, it transformed into a real tiger in the blink of an eye and pounced towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Yi's martial skill seems to be quite impressive. It's at least a black rank martial skill. It's a pity that only Mo Yi can practice this martial skill. It's useless for anyone else. Mo Yi's attack is already enough to threaten a 10th stage body tempering realm cultivator. I wonder if Mo Qingyun can take it. What I'm more curious about is how Mo Yi uses his martial soul. This is the first time I've seen such a method. After seeing Mo Yi's attack, the surrounding people's expressions changed. What a unique martial skill. After seeing Mo Yi's martial skill, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He revealed a trace of surprise. Also, Mo Yi's use of his martial soul has reached such a level. He's not simple. However, at the same time, Mo Qingyun also stopped underestimating Mo Yi. 9 Heavy Crash, seeing the tiger transformation that was about to attack him, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. He immediately raised his hand and punched out. As Mo Qingyun punched out, a mist-like internal force appeared on his fist and quickly transformed into a fist shadow. Break! After punching out, Mo Qingyun shouted coldly and shattered the fist shadow. Suddenly, a shocking wave of air exploded from the fist shadow and rushed towards the tiger transformation. Boom! Under the powerful wave of air, the tiger transformation was instantly destroyed and dissipated in midair. What a domineering martial skill! After seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, Mo Yi's expression changed. He was shocked and his expression became more serious. The strength that Mo Qingyun had displayed had once again exceeded his expectations. Crane, transform! However, Mo Yi did not hesitate. He controlled his martial soul and started to draw again. Soon, the beast form of a white crane appeared and attacked Mo Qingyun. The white crane's attacking style was less domineering and ferocious than the tiger's, but it was more flexible and nimble. In comparison, it was more difficult to deal with than the tiger transformation. Swift shadow steps, facing the white crane shadow's attack. Mo Qingyun immediately used the swift shadow steps and quickly dodged the white crane shadow's attack. What a powerful martial skill! Mo Yi couldn't help but praise Mo Qingyun when he saw how smooth and natural Mo Qingyun's movements were. Break for me! Once he executed fleeting shadow steps, the advantage of the white crane's beast form was gone, and soon, it was defeated by Mo Qingyun. After seeing this, Mo Yi attacked again. He drew a few more beast transformations and attacked Mo Qingyun. However, in the end, Mo Qingyun didn't manage to cause too much damage to them. They were all defeated by Mo Qingyun. Cousin Qingyun, this is my strongest attack. If you can take it, I'll admit defeat. After seeing that he had attacked a few times, Mo Yi decided not to hold back anymore. He was ready to use his strongest attack. All right, Mo Qingyun said calmly. Soaring dragon and leaping tiger, snake and crane transformation. This time, Mo Yi's martial soul, the spirit-bestowing brush, moved quickly and drew. In the blink of an eye, the dragon, tiger, snake, and crane transformations appeared and attacked Mo Qingyun from 4 different directions. 4 beast transformations from 4 different directions. What a terrifying attack! After seeing this, not only was Mo Qingyun shocked, but the surrounding people were also shocked. At this moment, Mo Xiao and Mo Ling clenched their fists tightly as they looked at the fighting field number 5 nervously. Can he take it? At this moment, Mo Feiping and Mo Yueru's palms were sweating and their faces were filled with anxiety. Looks like the result is out. Qingyun won't be able to take it. Seeing Mo Yi's attack, Mo Hongtian sighed in pity. He felt that Mo Qingyun would not be able to win. In his opinion, even a body-tempering stage 10 cultivator would not be able to take Mo Yi's attack, let alone Mo Qingyun. Chapter 51. Looks like I'll have to reveal some more trump cards. Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious as he looked at the 4 beasts attacking him from 4 different directions. Mo Yi's strength had far exceeded his expectations. Even a body-tempering stage 10 cultivator would not be able to match him in terms of combat power. Soon after, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately formed a hand seal and executed the martial skill, Fire Dragon Seal. Internal Strength Battle Seal, appear. Once Mo Qingyun executed the Fire Dragon Seal, 5 internal strength battle seals were formed in an instant. They surrounded Mo Qingyun's body, emitting a majestic and dazzling flame energy. What kind of martial technique is this? When he saw that Mo Qingyun was using the martial skill Fire Dragon Seal, Mo Hongtian, who had originally lost all confidence in Mo Qingyun's victory, sat up straight. His eyes glowed as he looked at Mo Qingyun and thought to himself, this brat is really full of surprises. He has surprised everyone time and time again. With this martial skill, the outcome will be difficult to predict. This martial technique, when did that brat Qingyun learn it? When Mo Faping saw Mo Qingyun execute another martial technique that he had never seen before, shock immediately appeared on his face. This martial technique doesn't seem to belong to our family. Where did Qingyun learn it? Mo Yueru frowned. While she was shocked, a trace of doubt arose in her heart. It seems that Qingyun is hiding many secrets. Looks like we don't know enough about the Mo family to have such a change. At that moment, He Qianxing and Song Su's feelings were complicated. They looked at each other again and secretly exchanged thoughts. How can this be? Is he really Mo Qingyun? He Lingyu could not believe her eyes as she looked at the high-spirited Mo Qingyun in the arena. Mo Qingyun's performance had refreshed her understanding of Mo Qingyun time and time again. She suddenly had a feeling that she did not know Mo Qingyun at all. In the fifth arena, while everyone was still in shock, Mo Qingyun controlled the battle seals to counterattack Moe. Suppress. As soon as the 5 battle seals appeared, Mo Qingyun controlled 4 of them to suppress the 4 beasts. As for the remaining battle seal, Mo Qingyun controlled it to attack Moe. This, in the face of this sudden change, Moe was almost unable to react before he was hit by the battle seal and was sent flying. As Moe was sent flying, the 4 beasts also dissipated in the air. After seeing this scene, everyone held their breaths and was stunned on the spot. Moe's powerful attack was neutralized by Mo Qingyun just like that. I've lost. At this moment, while everyone was still in shock, Moe smiled bitterly and sighed. Sigh. You've succeeded in showing off. I was just lucky. Mo Qingyun chuckled. Really? Looking at Mo Qingyun, Moe was doubtful. He did not believe Mo Qingyun's words. However, he did not care too much. He walked to Mo Qingyun and smiled. Next time, when I've mastered the 8 forms, I'll fight you again. Anytime. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said expectantly. Due to Moe's surrender, Mo Qingyun successfully entered the top 5. Uncle, I remember you said before that Qingyun could only enter the top 30. Now it seems like Qingyun has entered the top 5. Mo Xiao suddenly remembered what Mo Faping said yesterday. He blinked at him and smiled slyly. Uncle, take a guess. Now, where do you think Qingyun will enter? This. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Faping was embarrassed. He smiled bitterly. This kid is a variable. How can I guess correctly? I won't guess anymore, I won't guess anymore. Haha. Seeing Mo Faping's helpless look, Mo Yueru and the other 2 laughed. At this moment, they could also see that Mo Qingyun's matter could not be guessed using common sense. While Mo Faping and the others were talking and laughing, Mo Tsang and the others' battles had finished. Mo Tsang, Mo Xian, Mo Fo and Mo Qi. Including Mo Qingyun, they were the top 5 candidate. Same as usual. Rest for an hour and then we'll start the top 5 battles. Seeing that Mo Tsang and the others had finished their battles, an elder glanced at Mo Qingyun and the others and said. Then, Mo Qingyun and the others began to rest and recover the energy they had expended in the battle. After an hour, the same elder walked over and said, Now, we'll draw lots to match up with your opponents. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun and the other 4 walked up and started to draw lots to match up with their opponent. Since the 5 of them were drawing lots, someone would naturally get a bye. It was just that he didn't know who would get the bye. After a while, Mo Qingyun and the others all drew lots. Number 3. Looking at his own lot, Mo Qingyun got his number. At this time, when the elder saw that Mo Qingyun and the others had finished drawing their lots, he said, Those who drew lot number 1 and number 2 will enter the first and second arenas respectively to fight. Those who drew lot number 3 will have a bye and directly advance to the top 3. Is there such a good thing? Directly promoted. Hearing the elder's words, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. He had been promoted directly. After that, Mo Qingyun stopped hesitating and walked out of the arena. He watched the battles of Mo Tsang and the others leisurely. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the people in the arena knew that Mo Qingyun had drawn the bye. It can't be. Mo Qingyun actually got a bye. This kid's luck is too good. But Mo Qingyun is not weak either. If he didn't meet Mo Xian and Mo Tsang, it would not be difficult for him to get into the top 3. It looks like the rankings have been decided. Mo Tsang and Mo Xian are very strong and will take first and second place. Mo Qingyun will be third and Mo Qi will be fourth and fifth. For a moment, everyone in the martial arts practice field expressed their opinions. At this moment, while everyone was discussing with each other, Mo Faping said with a strange expression, "Like I said, this kid is a variable. What will happen to him can't be predicted with common sense. Have you ever thought that he would draw the by lot?" Indeed, we did not think about that. Mo Yuru and the other girls were dumbfounded by Mo Faping's words. Just now, they had thought of many scenarios, but they had never thought that Mo Qingyun would draw the vacant lot. Now, they could see that Mo Qingyun's situation could not be predicted with common sense. Congratulations, Brother Hongtian. Your grandson seems to have a chance of getting first place in this family competition. He Qianxing, who was beside Mo Hongtian, congratulated him with a smile. Mo Hongtian chuckled in response to He Qianxing's words. Qingyun may be quite strong, but it is impossible for him to get first and second place. He is only at body tempering stage 8 now. Compared to Mo Xian, who is half a step into the true energy realm, and Mo Tsang, who is at the peak of body tempering stage 10, this gap cannot be bridged. However, it is still very good for him to get into the top 3. Towards the end, Mo Hongtian's face revealed a gratified smile. It looked like he was very satisfied with Mo Qingyun's performance. Just as Mo Hongtian and the rest were talking, the results of Mo Tsang and Mo Xian's battle were out. With Mo Tsang and Mo Xian's overwhelming victory, the battle ended one after another. With this, the top 3 were decided. They were Mo Qingyun, Mo Tsang, and Mo Xian. Chapter 52. As You Wish. Mo Qingyun had a calm expression on his face as he glanced at Mo Tsang and walked towards arena number 1. Just as Mo Qingyun walked towards arena number 1, Mo Xian suddenly said, "Wait!" As Mo Xian's words fell, the surrounding people all looked at Mo Xian with curious expressions. What was Mo Xian trying to do by interrupting the fight between Mo Qingyun and Mo Tsang? Mo Xian walked to Mo Qingyun's side and said to Mo Qingyun, "Let me fight him first." "Sister Mo Xian, let me do it." Mo Qingyun was stunned by Mo Xian's actions and smiled bitterly. He knew that Mo Xian was worried that he wouldn't be able to defeat Mo Tsang and would be injured during the fight. "Brat, your wings have hardened, haven't they? You don't even listen to me anymore." Mo Xian was furious when she saw Mo Qingyun's expression. She put her hands on her hips and glared at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was speechless when he saw Mo Xian's tough image. He didn't understand what was going on. Why was there such a valiant character hidden under the gentle and quiet appearance of this noble young lady? "Mo Xian, are you purposely trying to cause trouble?" Mo Tsang's face turned ugly when he saw that his fight with Mo Qingyun was ruined by Mo Xian's words. "What, are you afraid of fighting with me?" Mo Xian didn't care about Mo Tsang's displeasure and looked at him with disdain. Afraid? The corners of Mo Tsang's mouth curled up as he smiled nonchalantly. "Mo Xian, you think too highly of yourself. Since you insist on recklessly challenging me, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll defeat you first, and then I'll fight Mo Qingyun later." Mo Tsang's expression was gloomy and cold. He first glanced at Mo Xian before sizing up Mo Qingyun. Perhaps in Mo Tsang's eyes, Mo Xian and Mo Qingyun were fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered by him. Nether tiger, appear. After glancing at Moxin and Mo Qingyun, Mo Tsang didn't waste any time and directly summoned his martial soul. The Nether Tiger martial soul was a high-class 10 martial soul. Once it was summoned, it exuded an intimidating aura. Black soul force flowed around his pitch-black body. Those orchid eyes seemed to want to hook away the soul of the prey. At this moment, Mo Tsang's eyes also became eerie with the support of the Netherworld Tiger's soul power. He gave people the feeling that he was a soul reaper, eerie and terrifying. Blazing Sparrow, appear. Mo didn't dare to be careless when she saw Mo Tsang summon his martial soul. The Blazing Sparrow martial soul was a top-class 9 martial soul. Once it was summoned, it exuded a scorching heat wave. Outside the scarlet feathers, there was a reddish-gold flame. It floated in the air like a scorching sun. With the support of the Blazing Sparrow, Moxin's body was filled with a heroic aura, like a fiery war god. Class 9 Blazing Sparrow martial soul. Looking at Moxin's martial soul, Mo Tsang sneered. Moxin, I'll let you know the difference between a Class 9 martial soul and a Class 10 martial soul. Dark Tiger Devour. Mo Tsang's eyes turned cold. He took a step forward and grabbed at Moxin. With this grab, the black energy on his palm was like a fine net, enveloping Moxin. Underworld Tigers Devour. That's a high-level profound grade martial skill. Underworld Tigers Devour. Mo Tsang actually learned this martial skill. Paired with Mo Tsang's martial soul, the power of this Dark Tiger Devour is comparable to an Earth martial skill. The most powerful part of the Dark Tiger Devour is that it can devour other people's inner strength and true qi when fighting. Facing Mo Tsang, who has mastered the Dark Tiger Devour, Moxin must defeat Mo Tsang with a thunderous force if she wants to win. After seeing Mo Tsang make his move, the expressions of the elders changed. Dark Spirit Devour, I've underestimated Mo Tsang. If Sister Moxin hadn't probed Mo Tsang's strength, I would have had some trouble facing him. Looking at Mo Tsang in the arena, Mo Qingyun frowned. He was surprised by Mo Tsang's fighting strength. Scarlet Flame Ring. Facing Mo Tsang's attack, Moxin quickly counterattacked. She stretched out her arms and her body turned 360 degrees. With a turn of her hand, the flame inner strength on her palm immediately formed a scarlet ring of fire and rushed towards the black inner strength net above her. Chi. Following that, when the scarlet flame ring collided with the black inner strength net, an ear-piercing sound immediately rang out. At the point where the black inner strength net and the scarlet flame ring collided, sparks shot out in all directions. The two sides fell into a stalemate. However, the stalemate was quickly broken. The power of the scarlet flame ring was rapidly devoured and weakened by the black inner strength net. Moxin, you should obediently admit defeat. You are no match for me. Seeing that he had gained the upper hand in this exchange, Mo Tsang sneered proudly. You want me to admit defeat? This level of attack isn't enough. As soon as she finished speaking, Moxin's body was like a fire phoenix as she took the initiative to attack Mo Tsang. At this moment, Moxin's half-step true qi realm cultivation was completely displayed. At this moment, the black inner strength net dissipated in the blink of an eye under the bombardment of Moxin's true qi. Attacking from a distance. This is the manifestation of true qi. Moxin's cultivation has reached the half-step true qi realm. After discovering Moxin's cultivation, the expressions of everyone in the martial arts practice field changed as they exclaimed one after another. Who would have thought that a half-step true qi realm junior would appear in this year's family competition? Half-step true qi realm. Seeing Moxin display half-step true qi realm cultivation, Mo Tsang's expression froze. He stopped underestimating his opponent and coldly said, "So you have this kind of backing. I've underestimated you. It's too late for you to realize this now. Emoxion lifted her pretty face and glared at Emote Song with some anger as she said, "Is that so?" However, this time, after Emote Song heard Emoxion's words, he revealed a pleased sneer as he said, "Even though I am very surprised that you have half a step into the true energy stage, you will still lose." As soon as Emote Song finished speaking, the aura on his body grew stronger. Not long after, it reached the same level as Emoxion's. Half-step true Qi realm. Emote Song's cultivation was also half-step true Qi realm. After seeing this scene, the crowd in the martial arts practice field was instantly dumbfounded. They did not think that Emote Song would also have half-step true Qi realm cultivation. In this way, there were now 2 half-step true Qi realm juniors in the family competition. It was truly surprising. Emoxion, you didn't expect this, did you? I'm also half-step true Qi realm cultivation. Therefore, you will lose this battle without a doubt. After displaying half-step true Qi realm cultivation, Emote Song looked at Emoxion with a haughty expression and attacked her again. Faced with Emote Song's attack again, Emoxion's face instantly turned serious and she used all her strength to block. At this moment, both Emoxion and Emote Song were full of energy. Both of them did not hold back in their attacks. Not long after, Emote Song and Emoxion had exchanged close to 100 blows. The battle was in full swing. True Qi raged where the two of them exchanged blows, setting off waves of true Qi. However, if one observed carefully, they would be able to discover that as time passed, Emoxion was gradually losing ground and was at a disadvantage. Looks like Sister Emoxion has no way of defeating Emote Song. Outside the martial arts practice field, Emoxion sighed inwardly as he watched Emoxion and Emote Song exchange blows. From his standpoint, he still hoped that Emoxion would win. However, many things did not always go as one wished. Emote Song, you win this battle. After a moment, Emoxion retreated out of the martial arts practice field and said to Emote Song unwillingly, "At least you know what's good for you." Emote Song looked at Emoxion with displeasure, then turned to Emoxion and said, "Emoxion, come on up." After hearing Emote Song's words, Emoxion spoke before Emoxion could. "Emote Song, wait for me to fight with Emoxion first." "Sister Emoxion, you want to fight with me?" After hearing Emoxion's words, Emoxion was momentarily speechless. What was Emoxion trying to do? However, at this moment, while Emoxion was feeling depressed, Emote Song snorted coldly and said unhappily, "Emoxion, it's useless for you to play these kinds of tricks in front of me. Do you think that after you fight with Emoxion and make Emoxion admit defeat, he will be third in this family competition and won't have to fight with me?" Emote Song, don't go overboard. With your half-step true energy realm cultivation, are you proud to fight with Qinyun, who is in the 8th grade body tempering realm? Seeing that her intentions had been exposed by Emote Song, Emoxion's face darkened, and she glared at Emote Song angrily. So that's what Sister Emoxion was planning. At this moment, Emoxion finally understood Emoxion's intentions and could not help but shake his head. What Emoxion did not know was that even if Emote Song challenged Emoxion to a battle, Emoxion would also challenge Emote Song. Emoxion would not give up the first place in the family competition to anyone else. He was full of expectations for the spiritual hall. Emoxion believed that as long as he entered the spiritual hall, his cultivation would increase rapidly. Overboard? So what? Chapter 53. Emote Song. You seeing Emote Song's actions, Emoxion was enraged. She pointed at Emote Song and was so angry that she couldn't speak. Emote Song didn't care about Emoxion's anger. He sneered at Emoxion and said, "Emoxion, no one can help you now. You'd better get up here obediently." Emote Song's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke. From the looks of it, He seemed to be planning to deal a vicious blow to Mo Qingyun when they fought. Mo Qingyun, prepare to be crippled by my brother. At some point in time, Mo Hai had also arrived nearby. At this moment, he was smirking smugly. Mo Hai, do you believe that I'll cripple you right now? Mo Xian's face darkened as she raised her fist. Sister Mo Xian, he's just a clown. There's no need to care about him. Seeing Mo Xian's actions, Mo Qingyun smiled at her and signaled for her to ignore him. Then, Mo Qingyun looked at Mo Tsang and said with a playful smile, I heard that in the family competition, if you lose, your ranking will be swapped. Is that right? If you lose, your ranking will be swapped? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people were stunned. They were surprised by Mo Qingyun's thoughts. Logically speaking, shouldn't Mo Qingyun be extremely timid right now? Now that Mo Qingyun said this, could it be that he was confident in defeating Mo Tsang? But was that possible? Mo Tsang was already half a step into the true energy realm, while Mo Qingyun was only at the 8th stage body tempering realm. Furthermore, Mo Tsang had a grade 10 ghostly tiger martial soul, while Mo Qingyun only had a grade 1 martial soul. The gap between them couldn't be ignored. This little fellow seems to be very unwilling to be ranked third. Could it be that I've missed something? Mo Hong Tian smiled faintly and nodded approvingly at Mo Qingyun. No matter the result, Mo Qingyun's courage to challenge Mo Tsang was rare. This stinking brat, could it be that he wants to go all out against Mo Tsang? Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Mo Feipeng immediately became angry. He didn't think that Mo Qingyun and Mo Tsang had the strength to fight. However, he still had some expectations in his heart. He hoped that a miracle would happen and Mo Qingyun would be able to defeat Mo Tsang and take first place. Of course, Mo Feipeng was also very clear that the possibility of Mo Qingyun defeating Mo Tsang was extremely small, almost zero. The challenge of the family competition cannot be rejected. Even if Qin Yun doesn't agree, we can only hope that nothing happens to Qin Yun during the competition. Mo Yueru said worriedly with a grave expression. Mo Ling and the others fell silent when they heard Mo Yueru's words. They looked at Battle Arena 1 with worry. At this moment, even Mo Xiao, who had a bit of blind faith in Mo Qingyun, started to look worried. In Arena number 1. Do you really think you can defeat me with your 8th layer body tempering realm cultivation? Mo Tsang laughed disdainfully. So that's it? Mo Qingyun smiled playfully. Soon after, the aura on his body began to rise. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun's aura rose to the peak of the early stage body tempering realm. The peak of the early stage body tempering realm. Seeing Mo Qingyun's aura rise to the peak of the early stage body tempering realm, the crowd in the martial arts practice field was shocked. Mo Qingyun was actually holding back. His true cultivation was not at the 8th layer body tempering realm, but the peak of the early stage body tempering realm. F***ck, this kid is indeed a trap. He actually hid his cultivation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's cultivation at body tempering stage 9, even with Mo Yi's personality, he could not help but curse. Mo Sun was just as depressed as Mo Yi. Seeing this, a bitter smile appeared on his face. This guy, when Mo Qingyun fought with him, he had actually concealed his cultivation by 2 realms. This was too much of a blow to him. Body tempering realm level 9. Mo Feipeng was stunned. Then, he clapped his hands and laughed. Good kid, you actually hid your cultivation. Mo Yueru and the rest were just as excited as Mo Feipeng. At this moment, their faces were filled with excitement as they clenched their fists. The peak of the early stage body tempering realm level 9. What a surprise. He now has the qualifications to fight with Mo Tsang. Mo Hongtian smiled happily. Looking at Mo Qingyun in the martial arts practice field, he kept nodding his head. This stinking brat already has such a cultivation. Mo Xen gave Mo Qingyun a reproachful look, revealing an angry expression. Unknowingly, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had almost caught up with hers. This made her a little depressed. How did this guy cultivate? How did he cultivate so quickly? Feeling the aura from Mo Qingyun in the martial arts practice field, Mo Hai's face paled. His expression was filled with fear. He vaguely remembered that 2 months ago, Mo Qingyun was only at the second stage body tempering realm and was easily bullied by him. But today, 2 months later, the gap between him and Mo Qingyun was like a chasm. In a short period of time, Mo Qingyun had already surpassed him and left him far behind. The peak of the early stage body tempering realm level 9. At this moment, Mo Tsang was also shocked. He frowned and then laughed disdainfully. Is this what you're relying on? But this strength is still not enough in front of me. Whether it's enough or not, we'll only know after we fight. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and walked into the martial arts practice field. He faced Mo Tsang and said calmly, I don't like to take advantage of others. I'll give you 2 hours to recover your strength. After 2 hours, we'll fight. You'll give me 2 hours to recover? Mo Qingyun's words caused Mo Tsang's expression to change again. He looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. After a short moment of shock, Mo Tsang's face turned ugly. From his point of view, Mo Qingyun was looking down on him. Thinking of this, Mo Tsang's face darkened. I don't need to recover to deal with you. I don't want someone to say that he lost because he wasn't at his peak state. Mo Qingyun shook his head and raised his index finger. So, you should hurry up and recover your strength. Since you're asking for it, then don't blame me. If I recover to my peak state, you'll only lose more miserably. Mo Tsang's face darkened as he said this coldly. Without hesitation, he started to recover his strength. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Mo Tsang's behavior. He also sat down and closed his eyes to rest. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the martial arts practice field became restless again. Am I seeing things? Mo Qingyun actually gave Mo Tsang a chance to recover. Is he stupid? Mo Qingyun is too arrogant. Does he think that he can deal with Mo Tsang at his peak state? Maybe he thinks that since he'll lose anyway, losing to Mo Tsang at his peak state will make him look better. Everyone in the martial arts practice field expressed their thoughts. Just like that, for the next 2 hours, everyone waited quietly. Soon 2 hours passed. Chapter 54. Is that so? Mo Qingyun glanced at Mo Tsang and smiled playfully. Looking at your appearance, you should have rested well. Since that's the case, let's fight. Swift shadow step. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and executed the swift shadow steps, leaving behind an afterimage. At that moment, Mo Qingyun pushed fleeting shadow steps to its limit. It could be said that he came and went like the wind. What a fast speed! Everyone was shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun following him like a shadow in the battle arena. Their eyes widened in shock. Compared to the previous battle, Mo Qingyun's current speed was even faster. So what if you're fast? At most, you can use it to escape. Mo Tsang's face darkened as he said coldly and disdainfully. However, even though that was what he said, his expression still turned serious. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's performance still gave him quite a bit of pressure. Nether Tiger appear. Immediately, Mo Tsang did not dare to hold back. He summoned his martial soul, and a strong surge of soul power was added to his body. Nether Tiger's Devour. With the help of soul power, Mo Tsang used the Nether Tiger's Devour and punched at the afterimage in front of him. With this punch, the black true chi on Mo Tsang's fist turned into a black true chi net and enveloped Mo Qingyun. The black net's attack area was extremely large, and it immediately affected Mo Qingyun, causing him to slow down a little. Seeing this, Mo Tsang smiled proudly and said, Mo Qingyun, I told you that speed is more useful for escaping. You're dreaming if you want to defeat me with speed. Who said I want to defeat you with speed? Mo Qingyun did not take Mo Tsang's words seriously. He smiled and said, "You've already made your move. It's my turn now." 9 Heavy crash. Mo Qingyun threw out several punches in succession. Violent internal strength surged out from his fists and turned into several internal strength fist shadows, attacking Mo Tsang. Because Mo Qingyun's speed was too fast, every time he punched out, his figure would change direction. Therefore, Mo Qingyun's internal force fist shadows were attacking Mo Tsang from multiple directions, and the power of the attack was multiplied. This kid's martial skill is even more powerful. Mo Tsang's expression changed when he saw the shadow of the fist coming from multiple directions. He became more dignified and shocked. Ghost Tiger Hand. After a brief moment of shock, Mo Tsang raised his hand and grabbed at a fist shadow in front of him, crushing it. Immediately after, he did not dare to hesitate and suddenly rushed forward, narrowly avoiding the fist shadows from other directions. Mo Tsang felt a lingering fear when he saw the shadow of the fist brushing past his shoulder. If he was hit, even with his cultivation, he would suffer a little. At this moment, in Mo Tsang's heart, he truly treated Mo Qingyun as a strong opponent. Mo Qingyun, I admit that your strength has surprised me. However, I will go all out next. Mo Tsang's expression was cold as he said in a gloomy tone. Ghostly pupil. As Mo Tsang's words fell, his eyes flashed with a bluish-green light that was breathtaking. Mo Qingyun, it's an honorable defeat for you to be defeated by the ghostly tiger martial soul's natal superpower. Mo Tsang's face was full of arrogance. He revealed a complacent sneer and said sternly, "Mo Qingyun, kneel." At this moment, Mo Tsang's eyes suddenly emitted a dazzling light that shot towards Mo Qingyun. Martial Soul Superpower. Mo Tsang had actually awakened a martial soul superpower. Seeing this scene, the expressions of everyone in the martial arts practice field changed. Isn't a martial soul superpower only awakened after reaching the true energy realm? Mo Tsang is only at the half-step true energy realm. How did he awaken it? Mo Tsang's innate martial spirit's innate divine ability is so strong. Under that light, my heart almost stopped. I'm afraid Mo Qingyun won't be able to take this attack. Everyone in the martial arts practice field couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect Mo Tsang to awaken a martial soul superpower. It looks like the result of this battle is already out. Seeing this scene, Mo Hongtian revealed a trace of pity and sighed inwardly. When he saw Mo Qingyun's performance previously, he couldn't help but feel a trace of anticipation for Mo Qingyun's victory. But now, after Mo Tsang used his martial soul super ability, that trace of anticipation disappeared instantly. To be able to force Mo Tsang to use the ghostly tiger martial soul superpower, Qingyun didn't lose unjustly. Mo Faping also sighed as he clenched his fists tightly and said with some reluctance. In his opinion, this was an unfair battle. It was already good enough that Mo Qingyun could do this. At this moment, Mo Ling and Mo Yueru had the same thoughts as Mo Faping. However, at this moment, Mo Zhao's eyes lit up as he revealed a surprised and cunning smile. He thought to himself, "Oh right, I forgot that Qingyun hasn't summoned his martial soul yet. If he did, Mo Tsang wouldn't be his match." Mo Xiao had a deep impression of Mo Qingyun's powerful martial soul. It wasn't something that the ghostly tiger martial soul could compare to. Mo Qingyun actually forced Big Brother to use his martial soul superpower. How is this possible? Mo Hai's face turned pale. He knew Mo Tsang's strength very well. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to be able to force Mo Tsang to such an extent. In Martial Arts Practice Field 1. Martial Soul Superpower. Mo Qingyun's expression froze as he looked at the rapidly approaching gaze, a trace of surprise appearing on his face. 1. Following that, Mo Qingyun felt a buzzing in his head. His consciousness was a little dazed, as if he had been hit by a sledgehammer. A martial soul superpower that can damage the soul. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun was shocked again. This type of martial soul superpower was very rare. At this moment, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. Mo Tsang's talent was pretty good, at least among the younger generation of the Mo clan. If an ordinary junior was hit by this martial soul superpower, they would probably lose the ability to fight. However, this level of soul attack was nothing to Mo Qingyun. Don't forget, he was a venerable in his previous life, the youngest pill venerated in the Tianhun continent. The most important thing to become an alchemist was to have a strong soul power. Mo Qingyun was the youngest pill venerated in the Tianhun continent in his previous life. One could imagine how strong his soul was. Although Mo Qingyun's soul power had weakened a lot after reincarnating, it was more than enough to deal with Mo Tsang's injuries. Kneel down? Mo Qingyun smirked and laughed disdainfully. Mo Tsang, do you think your eyes can make people submit? Eyes shining. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people were stunned and speechless. Big brother, that was a martial soul superpower. What do you mean by eyes shining? You don't know what's good for you. You're actually fine. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was fine after taking a hit from his martial soul superpower, Mo Tsang panicked. He would never have thought that his strongest move would actually be ineffective against Mo Qingyun. If that was the case, how could he fight against Mo Qingyun? Why should I not be fine? Just because your eyes are shining? Mo Qingyun smiled playfully and said, if you don't have any other moves, then the battle should be over. Blood Qi rampage. After saying that, Mo Qingyun no longer held back and used his martial soul superpower. Immediately, his aura skyrocketed and emitted a terrifying blood qi fluctuation. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's blood qi was so powerful that it almost surpassed some powerful beasts. At the same time, Mo Qingyun's cultivation base was also rising at an extremely fast speed. Mid-stage body tempering stage 9. Late-stage body tempering stage 9. Body tempering stage 10. Peak late-stage body tempering stage 10. Soon, Mo Qingyun's cultivation reached the peak of body tempering stage 10. He was only half a step away from Mo Tsang. Swift shadow step. 9 heavy crash. Fire dragon seal. At the same time, Mo Qingyun used all 3 of his martial soul super skills and attacked Mo Tsang. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was going all out. His strength was almost at its peak. Not long after, 9 internal strength fist shadows were condensed and accompanied by 9 internal strength battle seals, attacking Mo Tsang from 18 directions. Mo Tsang was already in a daze, so his reaction was slow. He was dumbfounded when he saw the attacks coming from 18 directions. He was shocked by the scene in front of him. He could not understand how Mo Qingyun could be so powerful. Bang 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 then, Mo Tsang was caught off guard. He was hit by the fist shadows and the battle seals and was sent flying. After Mo Tsang landed on the ground, he spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Mo Qingyun in a daze. He had lost. He had lost to someone he had never taken seriously before. Moreover, he had lost this battle completely. He could not find any excuses. Even though Mo Qingyun had given him 2 hours to recover his strength, he had still lost miserably. From the beginning of the battle, he had been suppressed by Mo Qingyun. He did not even have the upper hand until he was defeated. Such an outcome was too big of a blow for him. I won. Mo Hongtian was stunned when he saw Mo Tsang being sent flying by Mo Qingyun. Then, he stood up immediately and laughed happily. Good, good, very good. You are indeed my grandson, haha. At this moment, even Mo Hongtian could not suppress the joy and excitement in his heart. He clenched his fists tightly. Chapter 55. Silence. Absolute silence. At this moment, everyone in the martial arts practice field was stunned as they stared at the skinny youth in the arena. They had never expected that the youth in front of them would win the competition. Before this youth was so inconspicuous. But now, he had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. He soared into the sky and shone with a dazzling light. This was probably what the so-called dark horse was. He actually won. Mo Faping felt his mind go blank. After being stunned for a moment, he stood up excitedly and clenched his fists tightly. Mo Faping's body trembled with excitement. There were thousands of words in his heart that he could not express. Mo Qingyun's performance had really surprised him. Originally, he had thought that Mo Qingyun would be good enough if he could get into the top 30. But now? Mo Qingyun won first place in the competition among the juniors. During this process, Mo Qingyun seemed to have challenged his mental endurance and surprised him time and time again. Mother, Qingyun seems to have defeated Mo Tsang and won first place. Mo Ling's face was full of astonishment. She panted as if she was the one who had won first place. Good child, you did not embarrass third brother. At this moment Mo Yueru cried tears of joy. She smiled and said, if third brother knew, he would be very happy. He really did it, he really did it. Seeing Mo Qingyun win, Mo Xiao smiled sweetly. After a short smile, Mo Xiao seemed to have realized something. She said in shock, when Qingyun defeated Mo Tsang, he did not summon his martial soul. Without summoning his martial soul, he defeated Mo Tsang. When she thought of this, Mo Xiao was stunned. She felt that her brain was not enough. This stinking brat hid his strength so well. I was worried about him for a long time. Mo Xian pouted coquettishly. Her face was also filled with joy, but there was also a hint of depression in her joy. She had fought with Mo Tsang with all her strength, but she was still at a disadvantage, and had to admit defeat. But now, Mo Qingyun had defeated Mo Tsang. Didn't this mean that Mo Qingyun's strength had already surpassed hers? Mo Xian couldn't help but sigh in her heart when she came to this conclusion. Mo Xian was not the only one who had suffered a blow. Beside her, Mo Yi and Mo Sun also revealed gloomy and bitter smiles. This guy is actually this strong. When I fought with him, I thought I was only slightly weaker than him. Mo Yi and Mo Sun both shook their heads and revealed self-deprecating smiles. They were extremely depressed. Compared to the joy of Mo Xian and the others, Mo Tsang and the others were filled with hatred and resentment. Mo Hongtian has given birth to a good grandson. He Qianxing sighed faintly and unconsciously glanced at He Lingyu beside him with a complicated expression. Perhaps he was regretting that he had acquiesced to He Lingyu's annulment. Such an outstanding grandson-in-law was missed by the He family just like that. This can't be real. How can he be so strong? He Lingyu's face was full of pain. She rubbed her forehead, unable to accept this fact. The more outstanding Mo Qingyun's performance was, the more uncomfortable she felt, and the stronger the regret in her heart grew. No matter how strong you are, my big brother will still cripple you. Song Shiyun's face was still full of resentment, but her tone was lacking in confidence. It seemed that her confidence in Song Zihao defeating Mo Qingyun was no longer as strong as before. This guy, Song Su's brow furrowed, his expression dark as he stared at Mo Qingyun for a long time. Could it be that the Mo family deliberately hid him? They let him hide his strength until today. Otherwise, he wouldn't have risen in such a short time. Song Su fell into deep thought and didn't say anything else. However, if one observed closely, they would notice that Song Su was looking at Mo Qingyun with a cold gaze. Near the number 1 fighting arena. Seeing Mo Qingyun defeat Mo Tsang, Mo Hai's face turned pale. He said in horror, Big brother lost. He was defeated by Mo Qingyun. After uttering those words, Mo Hai quickly ran out of the martial arts practice field and said in a panic, I have to tell father and grandfather about this immediately. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Mo Hai's departure. Instead, he looked at Mo Tsang indifferently and said, Mo Tsang, you lost. Lost. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Tsang's eyes became dazed again. He looked up at Mo Qingyun. After being stunned for a short while, Mo Tsang's face darkened. He looked at Mo Qingyun and sneered. Mo Qingyun, I admit that I miscalculated this time. Your growth exceeded my expectations. However, the next time we fight, I will be the winner. Seeing Mo Tsang walk out of his defeat so quickly, Mo Qingyun was a little surprised. However, after hearing Mo Tsang's words, he smiled indifferently. Losers always find excuses for themselves. It seems that you, Mo Tsang, are not surprised. You can't beat me this time, so do you think you will have a chance next time? The next time we fight, the gap between us will only be greater. Mo Qingyun was confident that with his talent and experience, Mo Tsang couldn't compare to him. The gap between them was destined to be greater. The gap will only be greater? Looks like you've been blinded by your victory. Mo Tsang sneered and said disdainfully. Mo Qingyun, don't forget that your martial spirit is only a grade 1 illumination martial spirit. With your talent, you will stop at the body tempering realm. Mo Tsang sneered and continued. And I, Mo Tsang, possess a grade 10 netherworld tiger martial spirit. Soon, I will truly enter the true energy realm. At that time, the gap between us will be greater. Do you still think that you'll be a match for me in the future? Right now, you're just enjoying your moment of success. The person who will have the last laugh will be me, Mo Tsang. Limited talent. After hearing Mo Tsang's words, Mo Qingyun looked at Mo Tsang with disdain. He shook his head and said disdainfully, Mo Tsang, it looks like you haven't improved at all in these 2 months. Other than showing off your netherworld tiger martial spirit, what else do you have to show off? Don't forget that 2 months ago, I was only at the 4th layer of the body tempering realm, and you were already at the 9th layer of the body tempering realm. Now, I'm already at the 9th layer of the body tempering realm, and you're only at the half-step true energy realm. Is this your so-called talent and cultivation speed? Also, during the monthly test a month ago, you said that I didn't even have the qualifications to challenge you in the family competition. But now I've defeated you fair and square. I really don't know what qualifications you, Mo Tsang, have to be so arrogant in front of me. Today I'll tell you one more time. Other than your netherworld tiger martial spirit, you're simply worthless. Other than your netherworld tiger martial spirit, you're simply worthless. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the faces of the crowd in the martial arts practice field unconsciously changed. Mo Qingyun actually said that Mo Tsang, who possessed a grade 10 netherworld tiger martial spirit, was worthless. However, although the crowd was shocked, they couldn't refute Mo Qingyun's words. It seemed like the truth was true. In front of Mo Qingyun, other than his innate martial spirit, Mo Tsang really couldn't compare to Mo Qingyun in any other aspect. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's face was full of pride as he said, You said that I'll stop at the body tempering realm. Then I, Mo Qingyun, will break through to the true energy realm for you to see. During the town assembly in February next year, my cultivation will definitely step into the true energy realm. During the town assembly in February next year, my cultivation will definitely step into the true energy realm. What a confident statement! At this moment, these words were like a sudden clap of thunder that resounded in the minds of the crowd. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the way everyone looked at Mo Qingyun unconsciously changed. Although these words were somewhat arrogant, there wasn't any disdain in the crowd's eyes. Instead, there was anticipation. Chapter 56. In one of the Mo family's courtyards, a 15 or 16-year-old youth was rushing over in a panic. If Mo Qingyun was here, he would definitely recognize this youth as Mo Hai, who had left the martial arts practice field earlier. After Mo Hai arrived at the courtyard, he hurriedly ran in. At this moment, a middle-aged man and an old man were sitting in the courtyard. When they saw Mo Hai rush in, both of them were shocked. Immediately, the middle-aged man asked curiously, "Little Hai, what happened? Why are you so flustered?" This middle-aged man was none other than Mo Hai's father, Mo Jirong. As for the old man beside him, he was Mo Hai's grandfather, the Mo family's great elder, Mo Quide. He was the second strongest in the Mo family and was at true energy realm level 8. Father, grandfather, big brother. He, perhaps because he had run too fast, Mo Hai was a little out of breath at this moment. Before he could finish his sentence, he couldn't catch his breath. When Mo Hai mentioned Mo Tsang, Mo Jirong smiled faintly and said, "Has the family competition ended? However, even if your big brother won the family competition, you shouldn't be so excited, right?" "No, it's not like that." Seeing that Mo Jirong had misunderstood him, Mo Hai hurriedly waved his hand and said, Big brother, he didn't win the family competition." "What? Your big brother didn't win the family competition?" After hearing this news from Mo Hai, Mo Jirong and Mo Quide's expressions changed. They were extremely shocked by this result. After a short moment of shock, Mo Quide's face darkened and he said, "I underestimated Mo Hongtian's granddaughter. I didn't expect her to be able to defeat Song Er. If that's the case, Mo Xian's cultivation might have entered the true energy realm. This is beyond our expectations." Mo Jirong also frowned and had a look of shock on his face. In his opinion, if Mo Xian wanted to defeat Mo Tsang, she would have to enter the true energy realm. Seeing that Mo Jirong and Mo Quide had completely misunderstood him, Mo Hai hurriedly explained, "Grandfather, father, it's not what you think. The one who defeated Big Brother wasn't Mo Xian. Big Brother was defeated by Mo Qinyun." "Mo Qinyun?" Mo Quide was not familiar with Mo Qinyun. After hearing this, he looked at Mo Jirong with a look of doubt. "Father, this Mo Qinyun is the son of Mo Hongtian's third son, Mo Fiu." Mo Jirong explained to Mo Qide. Then, his frown deepened as he asked in confusion, "If I remember correctly, Mo Qinyun was only at body tempering stage 7 during the last monthly test. How could he defeat Tsang Er? He Tsang's son." Mo Qide's face was full of surprise as he said in a deep voice, "Little Hai, tell us the entire process of the family competition." Mo Feiyu was once the most dazzling genius of the Mo family. Mo Qide had a deep impression of him. "Yes, Grandpa." Moses's families Moses Mos' families Smos, Mos family S, Mos, the peak of body tempering stage level 9. After a while, Mo Jirong said coldly, "He even knows a secret skill that can instantly raise his cultivation. It seems like Mo Qinyun has many secrets. If I'm not wrong, Mo Qinyun should have reached body tempering stage level 9 a long time ago." Mo's family was silent for a while before he said, "Otherwise, no matter how talented he is, it would be impossible for him to break through 2 levels in a month." "Father, are you saying that Mo Qinyun has been hiding his cultivation all this time?" Mo Jirong's eyes lit up and he said thoughtfully, "That's right. I realized that Mo Qinyun seems to know a secret skill that can hide his cultivation. To have such wisdom at such a young age, Mo Qinyun is not simple at all." Mo Quide sighed and said enviously, "That old man Mo Hongtian has a good grandson." "Father, then should we give Mo Qinyun, that brat, to?" At the end of his sentence, Mo Jirong made a beheading gesture. "No!" Mo Qide immediately interrupted. "That brat Mo Qinyun has deceived all of us. I didn't expect him to have such forbearance. Now that he's starting to take shape, it will be difficult to make a move on him." After saying this, Mo Quide sighed again. "What should we do now?" Mo Jirong asked. "It seems like we have to change the plan. Go and contact the other elders. I have something to discuss with them. Emo Quide said to Emo Girong with a serious face. In the martial arts practice field, Emo Qinyun defeated Emo Tsang and won first place in the family competition. This year's family competition had come to an end. Next, it was time to distribute the prizes. The prizes were good. The prize for first place was 50,000 gold coins and the opportunity to enter the spiritual hall. The prizes for second and third place were also good. They were 30,000 and 20,000 gold coins respectively. However, when the winner of third place was announced, everyone sighed in their hearts. Emo Tsang, who originally had the highest chance of winning first place, lost to Emo Qinyun and ended up in third place. Everyone in the martial arts practice field sighed in their hearts at this result. It was hard to predict the future. After the prizes for the top 10 were distributed, it was inevitable that the elders would encourage the younger generation. Emo Qinyun had won first place as a dark horse. Naturally, he was the first to receive the attention of many elders. They all encouraged and praised him. After being encouraged by many elders, Emo Qinyun had no choice but to leave the martial arts practice field. Before Emo Qinyun left, Emo Hong Tian had specially instructed Emo Qinyun to visit him more often when he was free. Emo Qinyun could only nod his head. After all, he was his grandfather in name. He had to give him some face. After leaving the martial arts practice field, Emo Qinyun returned to his residence and began to cultivate in seclusion. After this family competition, he had gained a lot. He needed to digest it properly. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Finally, it was New Year's Eve. Seeing this, Emo Qinyun came out of seclusion. On New Year's Eve, there were many occasions that required his presence. If that was the case, it was clearly not a suitable time for him to continue cultivating. However, after these few days of cultivation, Emo Qinyun's cultivation had improved. He had advanced from the peak of early-stage body tempering stage 9 to the peak of mid-stage body tempering stage 9. Furthermore, his cultivation level was exceptionally stable. At this moment, just as Emo Qinyun stopped cultivating, Emo Xin and the other two girls arrived. Sister Emo Xin, Sister Emo Ling, Xiao, you're here. Seeing this, Emo Qinyun greeted them with a smile. However, what surprised Emo Qinyun was that the three women didn't directly respond to his words. Here, this is for you. Instead, she took out a pile of letters and threw them in front of him. What's this? Looking at the letters in front of him, Emo Qinyun asked with a puzzled expression. You'll know when you open it. Emo Xiao smiled slyly. Hearing Emo Xiao's words, Emo Ling and the other two girls also smiled and looked at Emo Qinyun playfully. Under the gazes of the three girls, Emo Qinyun suddenly felt a little guilty. He carefully opened the letters. At first glance, Emo Qinyun was dumbfounded. The contents of these letters were actually some girls expressing their admiration for Emo Qinyun. To put it bluntly, these letters in front of him were all love letters. Emo Qinyun was speechless. As an old monster who had lived for hundreds of years in his previous life, Emo Qinyun actually received a bunch of confessions in this life. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. This world was too crazy. Seeing Emo Qinyun's expression, Emo Xin and the other two girls smiled and looked at Emo Qinyun gloatingly. After a while, Emo Xin broke the silence and said, Our Emo family's number 1 junior, is he afraid of a few love letters? Hearing this, Emo Qinyun was speechless again. He smiled bitterly and said, Sister Emo Xin, don't make fun of me. Seeing Emo Qinyun's expression, the girls laughed again. Then, Emo Ling helped Emo Qinyun to smooth things over and change the topic. Let's not talk about the letters. Uncle asked us to call you. He said he has something to tell you. Grandpa is there too. Let's go over immediately. Grandpa is there too? Emo Qinyun was shocked. He felt a little surprised and said in surprise. Immediately, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and went to Mo Feipeng's residence with the 3 girls. Chapter 57. Soon, Mo Qingyun and the rest arrived at Mo Feipeng's residence. At this moment, Mo Yueru, Mo Hongtian, and the rest were all in Mo Feipeng's residence. Mo Feilin had also returned from Lianyun City. Grandfather, eldest uncle, second aunt, fourth uncle. Mo Qingyun greeted Mo Hongtian and the rest. Qingyun, you're here. Come and take a seat. Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Mo Hongtian smiled happily. He waved at Mo Qingyun and pointed at the stone stool at the side. Okay. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun and the others sat down at the side. Qingyun, I'm afraid there will be some changes regarding your entry into the spiritual hall. Mo Hongtian sighed and said to Mo Qingyun in a deep voice. Hearing Mo Hongtian's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and his expression changed slightly. However, he did not speak immediately. Instead, he waited for Mo Hongtian to finish. Mo Hongtian was silent for a while and said, Not long ago, Great Elder Mo Quide and a few other elders suggested to me that you be disqualified from entering the spiritual hall and that Mo Tsang be allowed to cultivate in the spiritual hall instead. Allow Mo Tsang to cultivate in the spiritual hall? Hearing Mo Hongtian's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed and he was surprised. However, after a short moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun understood. With Mo Tsang's talent, it was understandable that the Great Elder and the rest wanted him to cultivate in the spiritual hall. Even so, Mo Qingyun was still unhappy. He was the one who won the family competition. Why should he be allowed to enter the spiritual hall? Just because Mo Tsang was talented? If that was the case, why did they have to make it so that only the winner could be allowed to cultivate in the spiritual hall? They could have just announced who could enter the spiritual hall. Since they had given him hope, they had to disappoint him in the end. What was the difference between this and toying with him? After a moment of silence, Mo Qingyun looked at Mo Hongtian unhappily and asked, You agreed? Sigh. As your grandfather, I naturally hope that you can enter the spirit palace. Seeing the change in Mo Qingyun's attitude, Mo Hongtian sighed again and continued, However, as the family head, there are many times when I have no choice. In the Mo family, as long as 3 elders oppose the family head's decision, the family head's decision will be questioned and will need to be voted on by the elders. This time, Mo Qi joined forces with the 5 elders of the family to oppose your entry into the spiritual hall. I can't do anything about it, and I hope you can understand. However, I have fought for some compensation for you in the end. Take this high-grade 3 elixir. A high-grade Tier 3 medicinal pill? When Mo Qingyun saw this, he revealed a mocking smile and said, Grandfather, I've troubled you with my matters. However, you should take back this high-grade 3rd-grade pill. I, Mo Qingyun, cannot accept something like giving a date to eat after giving a slap. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, everyone was stunned. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. After all, no matter who it was, they would feel very unhappy when faced with such a situation. At this moment, Mo Qingyun said again, Grandpa, please help me tell Mo Qi and the others that even if I, Mo Qingyun, don't enter the spirit palace, I can still step into the true energy realm in next year's town meeting and trample Mo Tsang under my feet. As he said this, Mo Qingyun's face was full of confidence. His body exuded a sense of pride as he rushed towards the sky. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Mo Hongtian and the others were stunned. They looked at Mo Qingyun in surprise. Good. As expected of my Mo Hongtian's grandson. You have pride and arrogance. After a short moment of being stunned, Mo Hongtian continued to cheer. He looked at Mo Qingyun with eyes full of gratitude and admiration. He said in a deep voice, Don't worry. Grandpa will help you pass this message. If that's the case, Grandpa Uncle Mo Qingyun looked at everyone and said, If there's nothing else, I'll go back first. After saying this, Mo Qingyun did not wait for a response and directly walked out of the small courtyard. Qingyun, I'll go with you. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Mo Xiao immediately stood up and ran towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun glanced at Mo Xiao, who had come to his side. He hesitated for a moment and nodded. Then, Mo Qingyun and Mo Xiao left the small courtyard together and returned to their own residence. Mo Hongtian and the others looked at each other as they watched Mo Qingyun leave. They didn't know what to say. After a while, Mo Feiping smiled helplessly and said, "This brat is just like third brother. He has a bad temper and is stubborn. I think it's good. I like Qingyun. He's much more pleasing to the eye than the two brats from Mo Zhirong's family." Mo Feilin smiled nonchalantly and expressed his opinion. "Fourth brother, Qingyun and Mo Xian's temperament is because you spoiled them." Mo Yoru looked at Mo Feilin in annoyance. Her eyes were filled with helplessness. Mo Feilin's temperament was like this. He especially spoiled his children. Most of the time, Mo Feilin's fourth uncle doted on Mo Xian and the others more than Mo Feipeng and Mo Hong. They're children. We have to show more concern. Don't be like Big Brother, always pulling a long face as if someone owes him money. Mo Feilin smiled lazily and winked at Mo Feipeng. "Fourth brother, what are you talking about? You're not a father, so you don't understand." Mo Feipeng raised his head and replied, not to be outdone. "Ha ha!" Seeing Mo Feipeng and Mo Hongtian bicker, Mo Hongtian and the others smiled helplessly. At Mo Qingyun's residence. After Mo Qingyun left Mo Feipeng's courtyard, he went straight back to his residence. Mo Xiao followed him. "Qingyun, why didn't you tell grandfather and the others that your martial soul is a superb martial soul?" At this moment, Mo Xiao couldn't help but ask Mo Qingyun, "If everyone knew that your martial soul is a superb martial soul, you would be the one to cultivate in the spiritual hall. But if that's the case, what's the difference between Mo Tsang and me?" Mo Qingyun asked in return. "Then what's the point of me winning the competition?" This, hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Xiao couldn't refute. Mo Qingyun was right. If his martial soul was of a higher rank than Mo Tsang, he would be able to take back the right to enter the spiritual hall. In fact, the nature of the matter would change. There wouldn't be any difference between Mo Qingyun and Mo Tsang. They both relied on their martial souls. But if you enter the spiritual hall, your cultivation speed will increase a lot. Mo Xiao said with pity. "Not necessarily," Mo Qingyun said with a playful smile. "For others, the spiritual hall may increase their cultivation speed. But for me, it doesn't make much of a difference." Mo Qingyun believed that as long as he had enough resources, he could refine enough elixirs. Even if he didn't enter the spiritual hall, his cultivation speed wouldn't be slower than if he entered the spiritual hall. "Really?" Mo Zhao's face lit up. She said with a smile, "Although it sounds like I'm bragging, I'm looking forward to it." "It sounds like she's bragging?" Mo Qingyun was speechless. Mo Xiao, this girl, was too straightforward. But even if she thought so, she shouldn't have said it out loud. "And, are you sure you can enter the genuine Qi realm in the town meeting next year?" Mo Xiao asked again with a curious look. "You said it?" Mo Qingyun smiled playfully. "How would I know?" Mo Xiao said shyly as Mo Qingyun looked at her at such a close distance. "I don't know either." Mo Qingyun shrugged. Mo Qingyun was confident that his cultivation speed wouldn't be slower than if he entered the spiritual hall. However, he wasn't confident that he could break through to the genuine Qi realm in such a short time. After all, to maintain a fast cultivation speed, he would need a lot of cultivation resources. Mo Qingyun didn't have such financial resources at the moment. "Then why did you look so confident just now?" Mo Xiao rolled her eyes at Mo Qingyun. "Can't you tell? You're just trying to pretend to be someone who doesn't know what you're doing?" Mo Qingyun smiled bitterly. "Ha ha! Chapter 58. In the blink of an eye, a few hours had passed. It was time for the New Year's Eve dinner. Every year on the New Year's Eve, the entire Mo clan would gather together to celebrate the New Year's Eve. As the winner of the clan competition, Missouri Chinyun naturally couldn't be absent. When the New Year's Eve dinner began, Mo Chinyun and Mo Shao arrived at the Mo clan's banquet hall. The gazes of everyone in the banquet hall immediately converged on Mo Chinyun when they saw him arrive. The elders had expressions of admiration, while the juniors had expressions of reverence, fanaticism, and worship. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Chinyun calmly walked to a corner and sat down. Mo Shao sat beside him. After a while, Mo Hong Tian and the other elders arrived one after another. Let's start the New Year's Eve dinner. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Mo Hong Tian chuckled and gestured to everyone. Seeing this, everyone started to eat their chopsticks and chatted happily with each other. After a while, Mo Zhirong revealed a sinister smile and said to Mo Chinyun, "Nephew Chinyun, I heard from Song Air that during the last monthly test, you said that after the clan competition, you would give some of your martial skills to the clan? You took away my right to enter the spiritual hall, and now you want my martial skills. You really know how to push your luck." After hearing Mo Zhirong's words, Mo Chinyun looked at him with disdain and pretended to be confused. "Did I say that? Why don't I remember?" When they saw Mo Chinyun's innocent expression, Mo Shao, Mo Xian, and the other girls covered their mouths and laughed, and then they rolled their eyes at Mo Chinyun and said in their hearts, "This fellow's acting is really good, haha." After hearing Mo Chinyun's answer, Mo Zhirong and the others were stunned and angry. They didn't expect Mo Chinyun to go back on his words. He was obviously lying through his teeth. "Mo Chinyun, you want to go back on your words? Many people heard what you said that day." At this moment, Mo Tsang's face was filled with anger. He pointed at Mo Chinyun and questioned him. In his opinion, Mo Chinyun wouldn't be able to deny it after being questioned in front of everyone. Go back on my words? However, Mo Chinyun didn't seem to care about Mo Tsang's questioning. He looked at him mockingly and said, "Mo Tsang, I was just saying it casually. You even took it seriously. With your IQ, you must be anxious." Mo Tsang was so angry that he was at a loss for words when he saw Mo Chinyun acting like a hoodlum. Mo Chinyun continued, "Think about it. Even the winner of the family competition can enter the spirit hall to cultivate. The temporary candidate can be changed easily. When I said that I would give some martial arts books to the family, it was just a casual remark. Why can't it be done?" Mo Tsang was speechless again. He didn't know how to refute. After a short silence, Mo Tsang's face darkened. He shouted at Mo Chinyun coldly, "Nonsense. Who said that the winner of the spiritual hall can be casually changed?" After hearing Mo Tsang's words, Mo Chinyun showed a playful expression. He smiled and said, "Oh, is that so? Then why is my qualification to enter the spiritual hall suddenly changed to yours? First in the family competition? Or second?" As soon as Mo Chinyun said this, Mo Tsang's face immediately flushed red. He was extremely embarrassed and had nothing to say. He felt like he was slapped in the face in front of everyone. Mo Chinyun knew that he was third in the family competition, but he asked if he was first or second. Oh no! Seeing this, Mo Keed and the others' faces changed. They sighed, "What a cunning boy! He purposely set a trap for Tsang Er. Tsang Er was too careless and fell into this boy's trap. It's going to be troublesome." Although Mo Keed and the others were cursing Mo Chinyun in their hearts, they had to admit it. Mo Chinyun's wisdom at such a young age was terrifying. In this aspect, Mo Tsang was far from Mo Chinyun. At this moment, after Mo Chinyun's words, the banquet hall was in an uproar. Mo Tsang is the one who will enter the spiritual hall to cultivate? Wasn't Mo Chinyun the winner of the family competition? Emote Song entered the spiritual hall to cultivate? I thought only the winner of the family competition was qualified to enter the spiritual hall to cultivate? That's not fair. Why should Emote Song enter the spiritual hall? If so, what's the point of winning the family competition in the future? The winner of the family competition can enter the spiritual hall to cultivate? That's bullshit. It's obvious that you elders are playing with us. In an instant, all sorts of dissatisfied words came out from the crowd. This boy is quite vengeful. It seems like he's quite bothered by the fact that he can't enter the spiritual hall. Seeing this, Mo Feilin smiled playfully and said, "However, Qingyun's move is really ruthless. He hit the nail on the head. This clever boy is always unpredictable. However, this time, Mokid and the others will have a headache." Mo Feipeng and Mo Yuru smiled with appreciation and looked playfully at Mokid and the others. This boy didn't even inform us beforehand. He almost got me into trouble. After all, I am the patriarch. Mo Hong Tian smiled helplessly and shook his head. He looked at Mokid and said, "Great Elder, this is your decision. You should give everyone an explanation." After saying this, Mo Hong Tian gave Mokid a provocative look. His meaning was obvious. He was undoubtedly telling Mokid that he had shot himself in the foot. This, after being tricked by Mo Hong Tian, Mokid's face immediately twitched. For a moment, he didn't know how to answer. At this moment, Mokid looked at Mo Qingyun with a different gaze. At this moment, he realized that he had underestimated Mo Qingyun. Unknowingly, Mo Qingyun had gotten him into trouble. Soon after, Mokid sighed unconsciously. If Song Air had a third of Mo Qingyun's intelligence, they wouldn't be in such a passive situation. At this moment, while Mokid didn't know how to answer, Mo Qingyun smiled and said, "Great Elder, I know what you are thinking. The so-called family competition's champion entering the spiritual hall is just a joke to encourage the younger generation to work hard. It can't be taken seriously. The spiritual hall is naturally reserved for the younger generation with good talent. Your words are the same as me saying that the family has a few martial technique. It's just a joke. I understand." At the end of his words, Mo Qingyun emphasized the words, "I understand." Slap. At this moment, everyone seemed to have heard the sound of a slap to the face. Everyone naturally knew that Mo Qingyun wasn't helping Mokid. Instead, he was mocking Mokid. From this moment onwards, the image of Mokid going back on his words and abusing his power for personal gain was deeply rooted in the hearts of the younger generation of the Mo family. Seeing the change in the way everyone looked at Mokid, Mo Zhirong frowned. Soon after, Mo Zhirong frowned at a middle-aged man beside him and signaled him to speak up for Mokid. When the middle-aged man saw this, his face darkened and he coldly snorted, "Humph! Arrogant junior, how can you compare yourself to the great elder? As a junior of the family, it is your honor to contribute to the family. You should feel honored. Hurry up and hand over the martial techniques you have cultivated." Honored? Hand over the martial techniques? After hearing the middle-aged man's words, Mo Qingyun looked at him with disdain and sneered. "If that's the case, then as an elder, shouldn't you be a role model? Now that the younger generation of the family is training hard, elder, why don't you contribute your mother and let everyone have some fun? I believe everyone will remember your good deeds." Haha! After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the banquet hall immediately erupted into a roar of laughter. "This stinking brat, well said." When Mo Feipeng and the others heard this, they immediately laughed heartily. They were secretly pleased and gave Mo Qingyun a thumbs up. Hooligan! As for Mo Shao and the other girls, their faces were red as they fiercely glared at Mo Qingyun. "Bastard, you have no respect for your seniors." When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, the elder's face darkened and he coldly said, "Humph! As a junior, you have insulted an elder and violated the family rules. I will now punish you according to the family rules." Following this, The middle-aged elder was about to lay his hands on Mo Qingyun. Seventh elder, you are too presumptuous. When he saw the middle-aged man's actions, Mo Hongtian's face darkened and he unhappily said, Qingyun, I am just speaking the truth. Can't our Mo family even speak the truth? As an elder, it is beneath your status to be so calculative with a junior. Mo Hongtian continued, besides, don't force others to do what you want to do. If you can't do it yourself, how can you force a child to do it? When they heard Mo Hongtian's words, the surrounding people's expressions became strange. It seemed like Mo Hongtian was asking the seventh elder to offer his mother as a sacrifice. As expected of the family head, he was indeed powerful. At this moment, Mo Qingyun also glanced at Mo Hongtian with a strange expression. Soon after, he said, Grandfather, the injuries I suffered during the family competition have yet to fully recover. After being frightened by the seventh elder, my internal injuries seem to have relapsed. Right now, I feel a little unwell. I would like to go back and rest. Since you are unwell, then go back and have a good rest. Mo Hongtian glanced at Mo Qingyun with a strange expression and nodded in approval of Mo Qingyun's request. At the same time, he glanced at Mo Qingyun with admiration and thought to himself, this little sly fellow is quite clever. He knows that he has caused trouble and wants to escape. However, it's good to go back. These people are indeed ugly. Grandfather, we are worried about Qingyun going back alone. I will go over and take care of him. When they saw that Mo Qingyun's request was approved, Mo Xin and the other girls also pleaded with Mo Hongtian. Your considerations are reasonable. In this case, you can go back with Qingyun. Chapter 59. His old injuries had not healed and he was frightened by the seventh elder? After Mo Qingyun and the others left, everyone in the banquet hall was still pondering over Mo Qingyun's words and felt helpless. Mo Qingyun, this brat, was seriously too slippery. If the seventh elder could really scare him to the point of his old injuries relapsing, then he would not be Mo Qingyun. Thinking of this, everyone in the banquet hall sighed. The champion of this year's family competition is not easy to deal with. He is an interesting fellow. In the future, we can let interact with him more. Looking at Mo Qingyun's back, an elder beside Mo Hongtian smiled playfully. This elder was none other than Mo Yi's grandfather, the second elder of the Mo clan, Mo Kueishin, who was at the seventh level of the true energy realm. Perhaps it was because of Mo Qingyun, but the following New Year's Eve dinner was tasteless. On the other side, after Mo Qingyun left the banquet hall, he returned to his residence. As for Mo Ling and the other two girls, they naturally followed him back to his residence. Brat, you acted really well just now. I was almost fooled by you. In Mo Qingyun's residence, Mo Xin looked at Mo Qingyun and pushed Mo Qingyun's shoulder. Haha, not bad. Mo Qingyun laughed embarrassedly. Qingyun, everyone was unhappy with the first elder's actions just now. Why didn't you fight for it? Mo Ling frowned and asked in confusion, if you had everyone's support, perhaps you could have won back the opportunity to enter the spiritual hall. I would never have won back the opportunity to enter the spiritual hall to cultivate. Mo Qingyun shook his head and said in a deep voice, if it could have been won back so easily, they would not have taken my opportunity away so easily. Don't forget that my grandfather is the family head of the Mo clan. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Ling and the others became silent and agreed with Mo Qingyun's idea. Even Mo Hongtian, the head of the family, couldn't stop Mo Qid and the others from taking away Mo Qingyun's qualification to enter the spirit hall. Now, at the New Year's Eve dinner, how could Mo Qingyun's qualification be snatched back with just a few words? After that, Mo Qingyun and the others chatted for a while before Mo Xin and the other two left. Not long after the three women left, to Mo Qingyun's surprise, Mo Feilin came to his residence. Fourth uncle, you've come. Mo Qingyun greeted Mo Feilin with a faint smile when he saw him. I saw that you didn't eat anything at the banquet hall, so I brought you something to eat. With a faint smile, Mo Feilin took out the dishes and said with a smile, "The dishes for the New Year's Eve dinner are pretty good. Have a taste." "Fourth uncle, you should have some too. I can't finish so much food and wine." Mo Qingyun chuckled and poured a cup of wine for Mo Feilin. "All right." Mo Feilin didn't refuse and nodded. He sighed and said, "In the blink of an eye, another year has passed. I vaguely remember last year's New Year's Eve. You and I sat in the courtyard like this, drinking and chatting. I didn't expect you to become the #1 person among the younger generation of the Mo family. So what? I'm still your nephew, aren't I?" Mo Qingyun shrugged and said with a smile, "You little brat, from what you've said, it seems like you're not happy about it." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Feilin gave Mo Qingyun a knock on his head and said unhappily, "How is that possible? I can't be happier." Mo Qingyun grinned and quickly waved his hand to explain. "At least you know what's good for you." Mo Feilin nudged Mo Qingyun with his elbow and raised his cup with a smile. "Don't just stand there. Let's drink." "All right." Mo Qingyun replied and raised his cup and clinked it with Mo Feilin's. Just like that, time passed little by little as Mo Qingyun and Mo Feilin drank. As time passed, a hint of drunkenness appeared on Mo Feilin's face. He said gratefully, "Speaking of which, I really have to thank you and your father." "Thank me and my father?" Mo Qingyun was stunned and looked at Mo Feilin in confusion. "Speaking of which, we have to start from 17 years ago." Mo Feilin smiled faintly and said emotionally, "That year, your father left the Mo family to train and took me to Lianyun City. That was the first time I left the Mo family. It was also at that time that I met Wu Rou in Lianyun City. I fell in love with her at first sight. However, I was stupid, had no talent, and was a coward. I didn't dare to confess." Mo Feilin slowly recounted his relationship with Wu Rou over the years. Fourth uncle and fourth aunt have known each other since 17 years ago. Hearing Mo Feilin's words, Mo Qingyun was shocked and couldn't help but sigh. Mo Feilin and Wu Rou's relationship was really complicated. Mo Feilin smiled bitterly and said, "When your father found out, he took me to the Wu family to propose marriage. At that time, the Wu family head wasn't Wu Bingtian. When the Wu family head recognized your father, he immediately agreed to the marriage between Wu Rou and me." "Is my father very influential?" Mo Qingyun asked curiously. "A little more influential than you are now." Mo Feilin nodded and said, "Your father was very talented. He was only 20 years old, but he was already a level 2 Yuan Dan realm expert. He was one of the 3 great young masters of Lianyun City, and his reputation was comparable to the older generation experts in Lianyun City." "So my father is that powerful?" Mo Qingyun was startled. Then, a puzzled expression appeared on his face as he asked doubtfully, "Then, how did the two of you become like this?" The unforeseen event happened 2 years later. Mo Feilin sorted out his emotions and said, "To thank your father for being the matchmaker, Wu Rou and I planned to wait for your father to come back before we went through with the marriage. However, we waited for 2 years. 2 years later, when your father came back, he was covered in blood and had many hideous wounds on his body. He found me, handed you to me and left immediately. My father was severely injured." Mo Qingyun was shocked. He was surprised by Mo Feilin's injury and asked immediately, "What happened after that?" "After that?" At this point, Mo Feilin had a bitter expression on his face as he continued helplessly, "After the Wu family learned that your father was heavily injured, they began to obstruct me from interacting with Wu Rou. They gave me all sorts of conditions that were difficult to fulfill, and this stalemate has continued until now." After listening to Mo Feilin's story, Mo Qingyun fell silent. He felt sorry for Mo Feilin and Wu Rou. Emo Pheline sighed again and smiled happily. I originally thought that there was no hope for Wu Rou and I in this life. Who would have thought that your appearance would give us hope again? At this moment, Emo Pheline felt that his 10-odd years of waiting had been worth it. They finally had a couple. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's drink. Emo Pheline raised his wine cup and clinked it with Emo Qingyun's. Just like that, Emo Qingyun and Emo Pheline continued to drink and chat. It was unknown when they fell asleep. The night was silent. The next day, the sun rose slowly, shining brightly with its warmth. Under the sunlight, Emo Qingyun and Emo Pheline rubbed their sleepy eyes and woke up. You got me drunk last night and I almost forgot about the important matter. After waking up, Emo Pheline shook his head and rubbed his forehead. He said, Before I came back, the seniors of the Alchemist Union asked me to pass a message to you. They want you to return to the Alchemist Union immediately after the new year. They want me to return to the Alchemist Union immediately after the new year? Emo Qingyun was surprised by the news. Emo Pheline smiled bitterly and said, They also said that if you don't return immediately, they will come to the Emo family to arrest you. Damn, those 3 old men. Emo Qingyun felt a headache coming on. He cursed and asked Emo Pheline, Fourth uncle, when are you going back to Lianyun City? Immediately. Emo Pheline smiled. Okay, I'll pack up and go to Lianyun City with you. Chapter 60. After a while, Emo Qingyun finished packing and went to Emo Pheline's residence. What surprised him was that Emo Xian and the other 2 girls were also waiting for Emo Pheline outside his courtyard. Sister Emo Ling, what are you guys doing? Emo Qingyun asked with a puzzled expression when he saw the 3 women's posture. Of course we're going to Lianyun City with fourth uncle. I haven't been there before. Emo Xiao blinked and smiled at Emo Qingyun. You brat, you didn't even tell us that you were going to Lianyun City. You're so mean. Emo Xian glared at Emo Qingyun. Then, she revealed a sly expression and said, However, we'll give you a chance to make up for your mistakes. From now on, all of our expenses in Lianyun City will be covered by you. Emo Qingyun was speechless after hearing that. As it turned out, the last sentence was the main point. Fourth uncle is here. At this moment, Emo Ling pointed at Emo Pheline and reminded Emo Qingyun and the others. Since everyone's here, let's go. Emo Pheline chuckled and led Emo Qingyun and the others out of the Emo family to Lianyun City. Since it was the first time Emo Xian and the other girls went out, they went to Lianyun City. Therefore, all the scenes on the road were filled with a sense of novelty for the girls. Just like that, Emo Xian and the other 2 girls chattered happily for a few hours on the road. Emo Qingyun was more than happy to see this happen. With the 3 girls accompanying him, the boring journey was full of fun. After arriving at Lianyun City, Emo Pheline habitually told Emo Qingyun and the others some details to pay attention to in Lianyun City. However, before Emo Pheline could finish his sentence, he noticed Emo Qingyun standing at the side. His expression turned a little strange. At this moment, he suddenly remembered that with Emo Qingyun's current status in the Alchemist Union, he didn't need to pay attention to these things. With Du Luo and the other 2's opinion of Emo Qingyun, the current Emo Qingyun could be said to be the crown prince of the Alchemist Union. With his status, if he didn't find trouble with others, others would probably thank him for it. Who would provoke him for no reason? Fourth uncle, why did you stop halfway through? Seeing Emo Pheline stop halfway, Missouri Xian and the other girls were confused and asked. Actually, you should pay attention to what I said just now. Emo Pheline chuckled and said, The most important thing is that you go out with Qingyun body. With Qingyun body around, I think that no one in Lianyun City would be blind enough to find trouble with you. Emo Pheline clearly remembered that Emo Qingyun still had the identity token of the Alchemist Alliance Guild's president. If Emo Qingyun took it out, it would be enough to scare people. The identity token of the Alchemist Union represented the Alchemist Union's president. In other words, if they went against Mo Qingyun, they would be going against the Alchemist Union's president and the entire Alchemist Union. Everything will be fine if we go with Qingyun? Mo Xian and the other two didn't know what Mo Feilin was thinking. After hearing his words, they were shocked and confused. In the eyes of the three girls, Mo Feilin was obviously patronizing them. Mo Qingyun had only come to Lianyun City once more than them. How could he be so capable? Fourth uncle, how can you do this? Even if you don't have time to accompany us, you can't use Qingyun to patronize us. Mo Xian said with dissatisfaction. Sister Mo Xian, I know what fourth uncle is thinking. At this moment, Mo Xiao rolled his eyes and said with a sly smile, Fourth uncle wants Qingyun to accompany us because he wants Qingyun to help us settle our expenses in Lianyun City. Fourth uncle, so that's what you're thinking. I've wronged you. Mo Xian smiled awkwardly and made a funny face at Mo Feilin. After hearing Mo Xian's words, Mo Feilin was stunned and didn't know what to say. Was that what he meant? However, Mo Feilin didn't explain anything. Anyway, it was enough to let the girls follow Mo Qingyun. As for Mo Qingyun, he smiled bitterly. He was completely looked down upon by the girls. At the same time, Mo Feilin winked at Mo Qingyun and said, Qingyun, do you remember what Mo Xian and the others said? Mo Qingyun was speechless and felt betrayed. After a few words with Mo Qingyun and the others, Mo Feilin went to the Greenwood firm. As for Mo Qingyun, he naturally accompanied Mo Xian and the other girls to walk around Lianyun City. After a few hours, Sister Mo Xian, it's getting late. Let's go get something to eat before we walk around. Mo Qingyun suggested to the girls. All right. Mo Xian and the others nodded their heads reluctantly. Then, Mo Qingyun and the others came to a restaurant. They found a quiet place to sit down and ordered some dishes. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun and the others were waiting for the dishes to be served, a familiar figure entered Mo Qingyun's sight. When the person saw Mo Qingyun, he was furious. He sneered at Mo Qingyun and said, Boy, I didn't expect to see you here. Last time, you caused my pill to explode. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. I'll break your arms and legs and destroy your cultivation. This person was none other than the alchemist Jiang Qing, whom Mo Qingyun had met in the Pavilion of Herbs. Teach me a lesson? You think you can? When Mo Qingyun heard this, he revealed a playful smile and laughed disdainfully. This Jiang Qing was only at body tempering stage 8. He was still far from being able to teach Lin Fan a lesson. Boy, you're so stubborn. Do you think that you can resist me with your body tempering stage 4 cultivation? Jiang Qing's face darkened as he slowly walked towards Mo Qingyun. His eyes lit up as he looked at Mo Xian and the other two women. He said, I didn't expect you to have such good luck with women. You actually have 3 beautiful women to match you. However, it seems that you don't have such good luck. Body tempering stage 4 cultivation? When Mo Qingyun heard this, he smiled playfully, but did not expose him. At this moment, Mo Qingyun realized that Jiang Qing was full of confidence. He thought that Jiang Qing's cultivation had not changed. Qingyun, however, compared to Mo Qingyun's calmness, Mo Xian and the other girls were a little nervous. After all, the 3 of them were newcomers. It was normal for them to be nervous when they suddenly met a guy looking for trouble. Don't be afraid, beauties. I only have a grudge with this boy. I won't take my anger out on you. Looking at the nervous faces of Mo Xian and the other girls, Jiang Qing smirked at the 3 girls and said, After I deal with this brat, I'll apologize to you and help you calm down. I promise I'll make you even happier than this brat. Boy, now I'll let you know what will happen to me. Then, Jiang Qing threw a punch at Mo Qingyun, aiming for Mo Qingyun's face. However, when Jiang Qing's fist was halfway through, He realized that his fist was clamped by a pair of pliers, unable to move. How is this possible? How can you be so strong? Aren't you only at body tempering stage 4? Jiang Qing looked at Emo Qingyun as if he had seen a monster, his face filled with fear. He didn't expect Emo Qingyun to be so strong. He couldn't understand. The last time he saw Emo Qingyun, he was only at body tempering stage 4. How could he be so strong now? Body tempering stage 4. Emo Qingyun's face turned cold, revealing a playful smile and said, "That was a long time ago." Crack. As Emo Qingyun's words fell, the crisp sound of bones cracking could be heard. Then, one of Jiang Cheng's arms was pulled down. Jiang Cheng's arm was crippled by Emo Qingyun just like that. Bang! However, soon after, another muffled sound could be heard. Jiang Cheng's dantian was crushed by Emo Qingyun's kick, and his cultivation was crippled. You crippled my cultivation." Feeling his cultivation rapidly depleting, Jiang Cheng's face was filled with fear and resentment as he stared at Emo Qingyun and roared. However, Emo Qingyun didn't care about his actions at all. He only shouted coldly, "Scram!" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Jiang Cheng was enraged and his heart was filled with hatred. However, he didn't charge forward again. Instead, he turned and left. He knew that even if he was angry now, he couldn't do anything to Emo Qingyun. However, just as Jiang Cheng was about to turn around and leave, Emo Qingyun coldly called out to him, "Stop right there. I told you to scram, not leave. You don't go too far." Jiang Cheng was so angry that his body trembled. He gritted his teeth and looked at Emo Qingyun. "Go too far? Am I?" Emo Qingyun smiled disdainfully. His face darkened as he said, "Do you need me to do it personally?" Emo Qingyun knew clearly that if he wasn't a match for Jiang Cheng, he would probably end up like this. "Brat, if you have the guts, just you wait. I won't let this matter rest." Chapter 61. In a quiet courtyard of the Alchemist Alliance Guild, 3 old men were leisurely drinking tea and chatting. If Emo Qingyun was here, he would definitely recognize them. They were Du Luo and the other 2 old men. "That stinking brat, he's been gone for so long and hasn't come back to see me. When he comes back, I must teach him well." Du Luo was slightly displeased and grumbled. "Old ghost Du Luo, old ghost Suyu, if that brat Qingyun knows that we're going to take him in as a disciple at the same time, will he be overjoyed?" Zhao Qi said with an expectant expression. "Of course. In Lianyun City, who's better at alchemy than the 3 of us?" Suyu nodded in agreement. "President, founding elders." At this moment, Su Chuan arrived at the residence of the 3 and greeted them. "Elder Su Chuan, what's the matter?" Du Luo chuckled and asked when he saw Su Chuan. "President, the subordinate just reported that young Master Qin Yun has returned to Lianyun City and is currently in the Fortune restaurant." Su Chuan reported truthfully. "Oh, our good disciple has returned." Du Luo and the other 2 were overjoyed. Then, Du Luo said, "That brat didn't even come to see us when he returned." Su Chuan continued, "Also, I heard from the people who came back that young Master Qingyun seemed to have crippled a direct descendant of the Jiang family in Fortune Inn. Now, the Jiang family is preparing to take revenge." When he said this, Su Chuan sighed in his heart and said to himself, "This little fellow Qingyun is really troublesome. He's just returned and he's already caused such a big trouble. What? Those idiots from the Jiang clan are preparing to take revenge on our good disciple." Zhao Qi was furious when he heard this. His aura of an 8th-level Yuan Dan stage instantly erupted. Under Zhao Qi's aura, Su Chuan was instantly forced to retreat and gasp. At this moment, he finally knew how important Emo Qingyun was in the hearts of the 3. "Old ghost Du Luo, old ghost Zhao Qi, let's hurry over now. Don't let our good disciple be bullied if we're late." Su Yu also had a face full of anger as he said to Du Luo and Du Luo beside him. That's right. We'll go there immediately. Then, the three old men began to walk toward the Fortune Origin restaurant in a grand manner. I seem to have underestimated the importance of that little fellow Qin Yun in the hearts of those three old fellows. Seeing the actions of the three elders, Elder Su Chuan revealed a bitter smile, shook his head, and sighed. The Jiang family is doomed. Inside the Fortune Inn. Qin Yun, I'm afraid that guy won't let this go. Why don't we leave first? Mo Ling asked Mo Qin Yun with a worried look on his face. Don't worry, they won't dare to do anything to us. Mo Qin Yun smiled faintly and comforted them when he saw the worried expressions on the women's faces. Hearing Mo Qin Yun's words, the girls didn't say anything, but their brows furrowed even more. After about 15 minutes, the dishes were all served. The dishes are all here. Have a taste. Seeing this, Mo Qin Yun waved at the three girls, who still looked worried, and gestured for them to start eating. At this moment, Jiang Qing, who had left earlier, returned to the Fortune Origin restaurant. As soon as Jiang Qing returned to the Fortune Origin restaurant, he walked toward Mo Qin Yun with a gloomy face. Boy, you've got guts. How dare you continue to stay here after injuring me? Not far from Mo Qin Yun, Jiang Qing's expression was ferocious as he stared coldly at Mo Qin Yun. You've got guts too. After being beaten up by me, you still dare to come back. Mo Qin Yun looked at Jiang Qing calmly and said indifferently, Jiang Qing, is this the boy who injured you? Hearing the conversation between Jiang Qing and Mo Qin Yun, an old man on Jiang Qing's back walked out and asked Jiang Qing. That's right. Uncle Jiang Qing, this is the boy who injured me, Jiang Qing said angrily. Hearing Jiang Qing's answer, Jiang Qing's face darkened. He said coldly to Mo Qin Yun, Boy, you've got guts. How dare you cripple our Jiang family's people? I think you're tired of living. Are the Jiang family's people that awesome? Mo Qin Yun smiled disdainfully at the old man's words. You're really arrogant and condescending. No wonder you dare to injure others. Hearing this, Jiang Qing's face darkened again. He said, Boy, I don't care who you are. Since you dared to injure our Jiang family's people, even if you're a dragon, you'll have to bow down. If you cripple your own cultivation and break your own arms and legs, I'll be kind and spare your life. In fact, the old man dared to say this mainly because he knew some of the direct descendants of the big families in Lianyun City. He was sure that Mo Qin Yun wasn't among them. Therefore, he didn't have any qualms when he said this. I'm telling you now. Take them and get lost immediately. Then, break his legs and I won't be calculative with you. Mo Qin Yun glanced at the old man with disdain. He raised his hand and pointed at Jiang Qing. Uncle, this boy is too arrogant. Don't talk nonsense with him. Just get someone to cripple him. At this time, Jiang Qing said to Jiang Qing. Then, he pointed at Mo Xian and the other two girls and said, Uncle, didn't you say that you wanted to have some new fun recently? I think these girls are very pretty. They're suitable to be your concubine. They are indeed pretty. It's a good choice to be my concubine. Jiang Qing glanced at Mo Xian and the other girls. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he nodded with an evil smile. After that, Jiang Qing instructed the two middle-aged men by his side. Jiang Ping, Jiang Tao, cripple this kid for me. However, don't take his life for now. I want to slowly torture him and let him know the consequences of offending our Jiang clan. Under Jiang Qing's gaze, Mo Xian and the other two girls' expressions changed and they moved towards Mo Qin Yun. After seeing this, Mo Qin Yun's expression turned cold. He was ready to take out Durua's trump card to intimidate the other party. However, right at this moment, three terrifying auras crushed towards the Fortune Origin restaurant. Bang! 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 Under these three powerful auras, some of the bowls, chopsticks and wine bottles in Fu Yuan restaurant were instantly crushed and shattered. Who dares to touch my disciple? At the same time, a loud roar filled with anger entered everyone's ears. Then, the crowd saw 3 afterimages appear beside Mo Qingyun at an extremely fast speed. Bang bang! As for Jiang Ping and Jiang Tao, who wanted to attack Mo Qingyun, they were sent flying by Duruo and the other 2, half dead. These 3 figures were naturally Duruo and the other 2. When Duruo and the other 2 arrived, they looked at Mo Qingyun with concern and asked, "Good disciple, who bullied you? Did anyone hurt you? Let me teach them a lesson for you. If you came a little later, I'm afraid I would have been injured." Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised by the arrival of Duruo and the other 2. He pointed at Jiang Qing and the others and smiled faintly. "It's these guys. You're the ones who bullied my good disciple?" Hearing this, Duruo and the other 2 unleashed their Yuan Dan realm auras towards Jiang Qing and the others without holding back. They are Qingyun's masters. Their auras are even stronger than Grandpa's. When Mo Xin and the other 2 girls saw this scene, their eyes widened and they swallowed hard. They looked at Mo Qingyun as if they were looking at a monster. Their hearts were filled with disbelief and shock. They really didn't expect that Mo Qingyun had such a backer in Lianyun City. At this moment they finally understood. Why did Mo Feilin say that as long as they followed Mo Qingyun, they didn't need to pay attention to those details? With 3 such powerful backers, those who dared to find trouble with Mo Qingyun in Lianyun City were indeed not bad. Of course, this blind Jiang family could be considered an exception. Of course, more importantly, the Jiang family's luck was bad. Duruo and the other 2 just happened to come here. Chapter 62. President Du Luo Zhao, Master Zhao Qi and Master Su Yu. While Mo Xin and the other 2 were shocked, Jiang Qing was also horrified when he saw the 3 elders. Jiang Qing's face turned ashen and his body trembled at the thought of facing the 3 elders' wrath. The Jiang family was only a second-rate force in Lianyun City. He had offended the Alchemist Alliance. He was courting death. Jiang Qing knew that he had poked a hole in the sky this time. After a short moment of fear, Jiang Qing quickly guessed Mo Qingyun's identity. He was the disciple of Du Luo and the other 2 elders. Who else could it be other than young Master Dan, who was rumored to be the most talented alchemist in the Alchemist Alliance? You are young Master Dan, Mo Qingyun? Jiang Qing's face turned pale and his lips trembled as he looked at Mo Qingyun. Young Master Dan? Mo Qingyun looked at Du Luo and the other 2 elders in confusion. Du Luo smiled and said, "Good disciple, you probably don't know that you are quite famous in Lianyun City. Young Master Dan is the title they gave you." "Haha, so that's how it is." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He had never thought of such a situation. Hearing the conversation between Mo Qingyun and the others, Jiang Qing's heart was filled with bitterness and regret. Why didn't he investigate Mo Qingyun's background before coming here? He only listened to Jiang Cheng's side of the story. Currently, in Lianyun City, many clans were looking for opportunities to befriend this young man before them. But now, he actually wanted to make a move against him, directly offending him to death. Jiang Qing was sure that if he didn't handle this matter well, he would become the sinner of the Jiang family. Thinking of this, Jiang Qing's gaze was as sharp as a knife as he looked at Jiang Qing. He couldn't wait to cut Jiang Qing into pieces. If looks could kill, Jiang Qing would have been killed thousands of times by Jiang Qing's glare. If it wasn't for the idiot Jiang Qing who had blindly offended Mo Qingyun, would he have ended up in such a situation? This time around, it could be said that he had been tricked all the way to his grandmother's house by Rivertown. As for Jiang Qing, he was completely scared out of his wit. His legs couldn't stop trembling. He had actually offended young Master Dan. This time, he was dead for sure. Thinking of this, a pool of yellow liquid flowed out of Jiang Qing's pant. Seeing Jiang Qing's actions, The surrounding crowd revealed looks of disdain. This guy was too useless. He was so scared that he wet his pants. After seeing Jiang Cheng's behavior, Jiang Qing glared at him fiercely. He was furious. However, Jiang Qing knew very well that the most important thing now was to find a way to calm Mo Qingyun's anger. "Young Master Dan, I know I was wrong. Please give me a chance to change." Afterwards, Jiang Qing directly knelt before Mo Qingyun and begged, "I didn't know it was you. If I had known it was you, I wouldn't have dared to offend you even if I were 10 times bolder." In Jiang Qing's eyes, he didn't care about face anymore. In his opinion, as long as he could calm Mo Qingyun's anger, he would even defecate, let alone kneel. "Oh, is that so?" Seeing this, Mo Qingyun smiled playfully and said, "Didn't you say that you wanted me to destroy my cultivation and cut off my arms and legs?" "I didn't mean that. It was all nonsense from my mouth. My mouth deserves to be slapped." Halfway through his words, Jiang Qing slapped himself. In a short while, his face became red and swollen. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, making it look like a bloody mess. Seeing this scene, the crowd in Fuyuan restaurant was instantly dumbfounded. Jiang Qing had actually slapped himself, and so viciously at that. However, on second thought, everyone understood. A few slaps to the mouth would save his life. It was very worth it. After all, women were soft-hearted creatures. Seeing Jiang Qing slap himself into a bloody mess at his age, Mo Xian's heart couldn't help but tremble. Mo Xian and the other girls couldn't bear it and said to Mo Qingyun, "Qingyun, why don't we just let it go? We don't have anything to do anyway." Hearing their words, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh inwardly. These girls are still too naive. But since they had spoken, Mo Qingyun agreed. Nodding, he said to Jiang Qing, "Consider yourself lucky. Seeing that Sister Xian pleaded for you, I'll let you off this time. However, your actions have disturbed our meal. Shouldn't you compensate a few 100,000 gold coins?" Compensate a few 100,000 gold coins. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people's hearts trembled. They swallowed their saliva and looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. This young Master Pill was too greedy. Compensating a few 100,000 gold coins for a meal? However, when they thought of Mo Qingyun's identity, they felt that it was reasonable. He was the young Master Pill. How could an ordinary person compare to him? Would young Master Dan be interested in a few tens of thousands of gold coins if he casually gave it to him? Although they thought so, they still looked at Jiang Qing sympathetically. This guy was doomed. As for Mo Xian and the others, when they heard this, they felt a wave of dizziness and their minds went blank. A few 100,000 gold coins was too much for them. However, compared to the shock of the crowd, when Jiang Qing heard Mo Qingyun's words, it was as if he had heard the sound of nature. He was afraid that Mo Qingyun wouldn't compensate. This meant that Mo Qingyun didn't really intend to let this matter go. Now that Mo Qingyun had spoken, it meant that Mo Qingyun intended to let this matter go and not pursue it any further. Thinking of this, Jiang Qing couldn't wait to take out his Qiankuan bag and hand it to Mo Qingyun. "There are 300,000 gold coins here. I hope young Master Pill will kindly accept it." After giving away the Qiankuan bag, Jiang Qing felt a pang of heartache. This was half of his life's savings. However, compared to his own life, Jiang Qing didn't think too much. Money could be earned, but life would be lost. 300,000 gold coins. Hearing Jiang Qing's words, the surrounding people's expressions changed again. A wave of shock rose in their hearts. This Jiang Qing was really generous. He had taken out 300,000 gold coins in one go. At this moment, Mo Xian and the others were so excited that they clenched their small fists and looked at Mo Qingyun in surprise. This was too fierce. He had extorted 300,000 gold coins from the beginning. If they hadn't seen this with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. At this moment, Moxin and the others couldn't help but think that compared to Mo Qingyun, Mo Tsang was nothing. Could Mo Tsang have such means? You're reasonable. Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction. He pointed at Jiang Qing and said, however, I don't want to see him appear in front of me in the future. Yes, 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 Jiang Qing nodded quickly. Then, he looked at Jiang Qing with resentment and said, from today onwards, Jiang Qing is no longer a member of the Jiang family. Also, break his legs and throw him out of Lianyun City. Yes, Elder Qing. The people behind Jiang Qing immediately nodded in response. Uncle, please don't. Young Master Dan, I was wrong. Please let me go. It's like letting go of a dog. Jiang Qing's voice became softer and softer as he was dragged out of Fu Yuan restaurant. Young Master Dan, are you satisfied with this result? After instructing the people behind him, Jiang Qing asked Mo Qingyun with a fawning expression. You can get out now. Seeing that Jiang Qing's legs were broken and he was being dragged out, Mo Qingyun waved his hand impatiently. Yes, yes, I'll get out now. Then, Jiang Qing and the others hurriedly left Fu Yuan restaurant. Chapter 63. You little brat, you just came back and made a mess. Let me clean up the mess for you. After the Jiang family left, Zhao Qi pretended to be displeased and glared at Mo Qingyun. You're all bored, so you came out to have some fun, isn't that right? Mo Qingyun chuckled and said to Du Luo and the others. You're right, little brat. Zhao Qi shook his head and pretended to be displeased as he glared at Mo Qingyun and said, Good disciple, I'm going to tell you a great piece of news. Great piece of news? Mo Qingyun was stunned for a moment before a curious look appeared on his face. That's right, it's about you becoming a disciple. Du Luo added, after you went back, the three of us thought about it from your point of view. We feel that it's too difficult for you to choose one of us as your master. After all, the three of us are excellent teachers. Hearing Du Luo's words, Mo Qingyun was speechless. Could these three old men's faces be any thicker? There should be a limit to boasting. Did they think that boasting was not a capital offense, so they boasted to death? Of course, Mo Qingyun would not say this out loud and continued to listen to Du Luo. Ignoring the change in Mo Qingyun's expression, Du Luo continued, So, the three of us decided to take you as our disciple at the same time. How about it? Aren't you happy? Surprised? Surprised? The three of you want to take me as your disciple at the same time? Mo Qingyun was speechless. He was completely convinced by Du Luo and the others. It was really hard for the three old men to think of such a thing. Seeing Mo Qingyun stunned on the spot, Du Luo and the others immediately showed proud smiles. They thought that Mo Qingyun was so surprised that he could not speak. How about it? I said it, didn't I? This kid will be overjoyed after hearing it. Su Yu laughed and exchanged glances with Du Luo's group, then said, Look, this kid is so happy that he can't speak. The only reason this kid is so quick is because I accepted him as a disciple, Zhao Qi said shamelessly. Bah, it's obviously me, okay? Du Luo also shamelessly retorted. For a moment, the three old men started arguing again. After seeing this scene, the people in Fortune Origin restaurant immediately looked at Mo Qingyun with envious gazes. What kind of luck did he have to be able to become a disciple of Du Luo and the other two at the same time? Qingyun, are they really your teachers? Seeing the actions of Du Luo and the other two, Moxin and the other girls were shocked and asked Mo Qingyun. He didn't expect that the three super experts in front of him were actually Mo Qingyun's teachers. This discovery really shocked them quite a bit. Hee hee, you can say that. Mo Qingyun smiled bitterly and nodded helplessly. Originally, he thought that Du Luo and the other two's abilities were not enough to be his teachers. But now, seeing the actions of the three old men, Mo Qingyun was moved and tacitly agreed with their actions. It seemed that having them as his teachers was not a bad thing, and there was nothing shameful about it. After being reborn, it was rare for someone to show such sincere concern for him. This was the rarest thing. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was much more open-minded and indifferent to those false titles. For a moment, Mo Qingyun seemed to have entered a very mysterious state. After entering this state, Mo Qingyun's soul was instantly sublimated and his soul power increased rapidly. Illusory realm. After Mo Qingyun sensed the increase in his soul power, he was overjoyed. He was extremely excited. In a short period of time, his soul power cultivation had skipped the first realm, transcending mortality realm, and entered the illusory realm. Soul power cultivation was divided into many realms: transcending mortality realm, illusory realm, spirit origin realm, heavenly spirit realm, heavenly palace realm, manifestation realm, creation realm, and path merging realm. Transcending mortality realm was equivalent to a martial artist's true chi realm, and so on. However, Mo Qingyun also knew that the reason why his soul cultivation increased so quickly was mainly because his soul power in his previous life was strong enough to reach the manifestation realm. The current situation was just a kind of recovery and not a true increase. But even so, it was a good thing for Mo Qingyun. With this, he would have many more tricks up his sleeve. Even if he faced a low-level true energy realm fighter, he would have some confidence in escaping unscathed and would have more power to protect himself. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised, Du Luo and the other two noticed Mo Xian and the other two girls. I forgot that there were 3 girls beside us. Hearing Mo Xian's words, Du Luo was surprised and said, "Good disciple, these 3 girls, are they all my disciples' wives?" "Good disciple, you have good taste. These 3 girls are not bad." Zhao Qi and the other 2 nodded their heads in agreement. Disciples' wives? Hearing Du Luo's words, Mo Xian and the other 2 girls broke out in a cold sweat and smiled bitterly. They secretly scolded Du Luo. What a disrespectful old man. However, although they thought so, Mo Xian and the other 2 girls did not dare to say it out loud. Mo Ling was in awe and explained, "Senior, it's not what you think. We are just Qingyun's elder sister and younger sister." "Oh, that's a pity." Hearing this, Zhao Qi was slightly disappointed and said, "However, since you are Qingyun's clansman, this old man will give you some small gifts." Then, Zhao Qi took out 3 bottles of pills and gave them to Mo Xian and the other 2 girls. Body-tempering pills. When Mo Xian and Mo Xiao saw the pills in the bottles, they were shocked and exclaimed. The appearance of these pills was exactly the same as the body-tempering pills Mo Qingyun gave them. However, in terms of the concentration of elemental energy, it was slightly weaker than the ones Mo Qingyun gave them. It must be because of the lower grade. "You actually recognize these pills?" Seeing that Mo Xiao and the other 2 girls recognized the pills in the bottles, Du Luo and the other 2 girls were surprised. However, after thinking about it for a while, they felt relieved and said with a smile, "It seems that Qingyun should have told you about alchemy before." "No, it's not like that." Seeing that Du Luo and the other 2 girls had misunderstood, Mo Xian explained, "Before this, Qingyun gave me and Xiao Xiao a few body-tempering pills each. That's how we met." After replying to Du Luo, Mo Xian's face was filled with shame and anger. She glared at Mo Qingyun and said, "You stinking brat, so the body-tempering pills you gave us before were given to you by Senior. You actually told us that you refined them yourself. You really don't know how to brag." Seeing that Mo Xian had misunderstood, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with helplessness. He smiled bitterly and said, "I indeed refined them myself. We gave Qingyun body-tempering pills?" While Mo Qingyun was feeling helpless, Du Luo and the other 2 girls were puzzled and looked at each other. They did not give Mo Qingyun body-tempering pills. If that was the case, then where did Mo Qingyun's body-tempering pills come from? Could it be were the body-tempering pills really refined by Mo Qingyun himself? As soon as this thought appeared, Du Luo and the other two girls were overjoyed. They quickly asked Mo Qingyun, "Good disciple, could it be that you have already advanced to a grade 2 alchemist?" "You can say that." Seeing that Du Luo understood, Mo Qingyun did not explain further. He could not tell Du Luo and the other two that he could even refine grade 3 pills, right? If that was the case, Du Luo and the other two girls would be scared to death, causing the entire Lianyun city to panic. If that was the case, he would not be able to live a peaceful life. This was not something that Mo Qingyun wanted to see. Sometimes it was not good for a person to be too dazzling. Mo Qingyun still understood this principle. Qingyun is a grade 2 alchemist? Hearing the words of Du Luo and the other two girls, Mo Xin and the other two girls were shocked. Immediately, their eyes widened as they looked at Mo Qingyun and exclaimed, That body-tempering pill from before, was it really refined by you?" "Of course, otherwise where would it be from?" Mo Qingyun's face was gloomy. "Then why didn't you tell us? You made us guess blindly." Mo Xiao and Mo Xin pretended to be unhappy and glared at Mo Qingyun. "I didn't tell you?" Mo Qingyun's face was innocent and he smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had told the two girls, but they did not believe him. At this moment, Mo Qingyun had a profound understanding of the truth. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.